Triathlon is back. After carnage on the streets of Jersey, all eyes turn now to Malta in the heart of the Mediterranean between Europe and North Africa for round two, the first of 2 weekends of back-to-back racing. 35 of the world's very best taking on all new formats and a course, I can tell you, that can only be described as brutal. It is time for some pain in paradise. It's time for Super League, and this is the story so far. Super League, triathlon's new short course pinnacle. The world's very best contesting 4 rounds in unique global locations. $1.5 million on the line, the richest purse in triathlon history. And it all began on the island of Jersey. New ground for the sport and new limits for the athletes. The season's opening shots were fired over 2 days racing, starting with Saturday's triple mix. 3 stages with just 10 minutes rest in between, each featuring the swim, bike and run in a different order. And if that wasn't enough, add in another innovation, the short shoot. Essentially a shortcut for the leader at each transition, rewarding aggressive racing in every moment. The women tackled it first in a classic battle of youth versus experience. Reigning champion Katie Zafiris tested and bested by French prodigy Cassandra Beaugrand, who took every single stage. The French fans weren't content with one win, and when the men took to the course, the fearless bike skills of Vincent Louis saw him home over South Africa's Henry Schoeman. Sore bodies then rose for the Enduro. 3 triathlons back to back to back. No break, nowhere to hide, with 2 athletes eliminated at each transition. Louis rising above the challenge of Schoeman to complete a dominant double. The world number 2 taking the championship lead. A different story in the women's. Zafiris humbled the day before, throwing down a challenge that nobody could match. The chase well and truly on as Super League Triathlon arrives in Malta. And now it is time for the chase to continue. What a racing weekend it was in Jersey. 3 weeks later, here we are in Malta. Perfect racing conditions, and that hill you can see stretching from the left to the right of your screen is a very, very tough downhill with a 160-degree turn at the end. This course is absolutely brutal. It's going to be fantastic racing. My name is Will McCloy. Alongside me, 2-time and reigning Olympic gold medalist Alistair Brownlee and 2-time Ironman world champ Chris McCormack. Ali, we'll start with you. Jersey was a fantastic weekend, kind of home turf for you. You were injured, you didn't race. Your brother did race though. Great racing, and now he's stepping up another notch.
Yeah, Jersey was fantastic racing. You really feel like the whole island get behind it. It's a great course, and it's great to see, you know, all the athletes out there giving it their best. But this might look similar in terms of the formats, but it's a completely different ball game. This hill on the bike and on the run, both up and down it, is gonna make a big difference, I think.
Yeah, brand new formats. We're going to get to that and explain all of that in just a second. But Super League as a whole is like something you have never seen before. If you're just tuning into Super League for the first time and you know a little bit about triathlon in that it's swim, bike and run, well, this is something, I mean, you explain it for me, Macca. You came up with it. It came from your twisted mind.
Well, I think you nailed it. We talked about the word formats, and what we've done with triathlon, especially the Super League end, is change the way that people do these. The athletes are racing swim, bike and run conventionally. Here you're going to see it mixed up, but the one thing is you've got the world's best athletes here. We've made these courses tough. We've come to downtown city locations, exposed it to bigger crowds. It's unbelievable racing.
Let's have a look at Super League in a nutshell. 4 rounds in this season. We're going to grow year on year. We finish up in Singapore in February, but we go next weekend to Mallorca off the coast of Spain. 5 race formats. The Eliminator today. We'll get to that. Equal prize money for the men and the women. 2 races for each across the weekend. $1.5 million on the line, and then we crown our champions in Singapore, and Katie Zafiris is leading the charge. The American, she's such a strong all-round athlete, no weaknesses. Kirsten Casper and Summer Cook, 2 more of the Americans who are so strong in this one. Jodie Stimson, Sophie Colwell, Emma Jeffcoat in the blue jersey of the swimmer rounds it out. But there is Katie Zafiris looking incredibly focused, if you like. It's warm here, but she's got the jacket on. That's a bit different.
Yeah, I think it's, we were talking about it earlier, it's one of those athlete things sometimes, you know, you want to keep the body warm, keep the core temperature up maybe, and maybe you've just been in the water as well, you know, dropped a little bit, a bit of wind down there and it's a bit cool, but yeah, I wouldn't be in a jacket.
She'll be sweating, no doubt, in just a second. She'll be wearing the pink jersey, that means she's the overall championship leader. The green is Kirsten Casper, she was the the fastest on the bike from Jersey. Red is fastest on the run, and blue is Emma Jeffcoat, fastest in the swim. So it's been a fantastic week. It is race time. We're looking forward to it. Only about 5 or 6 minutes now until the women's eliminator. But it's been a fantastic week for the athletes. They've got to see a lot of Malta. And one thing we did do is take the fastest two in the water, Henry Schumann and Emma Jeffcoat, and put them up against the regatta boats that are famous here in Malta. And this is what happened.
I'm Katie Zafiris from USA.
And my name's Hayden Wild and I'm from New Zealand.
We are here to learn more about the Maltese culture, and we're going to get to take out some regatta boats. I have been on a rowing machine twice this past week, so I've pretty much been training for this. We're going to get to race Henry and Emma, the swimmers, and like literally they are swimming. In theory, a boat should be faster.
Yeah.
Leave it to us.
Well, we're both in the blue jerseys this weekend, so hopefully we can step it up with the swimming.
It's going to be more difficult for them to turn around. We're a little bit more agile in the water, so hopefully that gives us the advantage.
I don't know what I'm doing.
See if we can pull one out of the bag and take one for the boys. Alrighty. Oh, my pants are falling off. Go for the win! Yes, my pants fell off, but it's okay. Another gold medal for the Royals of New Zealand.
I'm very, very competitive, so I'll take every and any win I can get. Very happy with that one.
Yeah, any win in the water against Henry's a win for me, so yeah, I'll take that one for sure.
Competitive Emma Jeffcoat and fun for all the athletes. They've had such a good week. All the formats are very different and they test the athletes. That's what they're designed to do and take triathlon to new levels. Today is the Eliminator. There's two races in this one. The race at the front and the race at the back to avoid being eliminated. Tactics play a big role, and this is what the Eliminator is all about. The Eliminator, the most ruthless triathlon format ever devised. A three-stage tactical nightmare rewarding fierce racing and strategic brilliance. Pace your efforts, conserve energy, and avoid elimination. No room for positioning error, no room for weaknesses, no room for anything. Stage 1, a mass start, swim, bike, run. Easy. A win here, though, won't help you. But finish in the last 5, that's your day over. A 10-minute break, and they go again. Mass start, swim, bike, run. The best progress. The last 5 join their fallen rivals on the sidelines. Reset. It's time to go into battle for the last time. How much have you got left? Someone will cross the line a winner. The Eliminator. It's time. It's going to be fantastic racing. I cannot wait for it. The Eliminator, just that, and this man alongside me, reigning Olympic gold medalist, got eliminated back in Hamilton Island. What do you remember of that?
Not a lot.
You choose not to?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's a great format, though, for a couple of reasons. It's 2 races, isn't it? There's the guys at the front trying to get through the first 2 rounds as easily as possibly so they can spend everything they've got in that 3rd race. And those guys who are and girls in the last 5 and just trying to scrape it through. So we've got 18 women starting in this race we're about to watch. So that means, you know, they're all going to, that 12, 13, 14 place is going to be hotly contested, which is great spectating.
At the same time, $1,000 on offer for the winner of each stage. So there's a bit of a
Where do you want? Do you want the money, or do you want to go through and conserve energy? And on an uphill finish is what we've got. Combined with this course, it's going to be some tough racing.
Well, this is a very similar course to Hamilton Island with a big climb. It made it very, very difficult there. The downhill running between the races will be tough, and the 10 minutes between races. You've got about a 3-minute walk from transition to get back down, set your bike up and get back in the water, so it's going to be rushed.
10 minutes is not a lot. We are getting close to race start for the women's eliminator. Annie Emerson is down on the swim pontoon, and she's going to try and get a word from a couple of the women. Annie?
Well, this really is an idyllic location for the swim start, but you can't help but feel it's the calm before the storm as the athletes make their final preparations before the start of the race. The numbers on the pontoon, 1 to 18, are predetermined at the swim draw in the day before the race. Some athletes are going to be a lot happier with their position on the swim start than others. Katie Safiris, who's chatting with one of the organisers, finding out exactly what's going on. Katie, you're pretty happy with your swim start, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm really happy with my swim start. I hadn't seen the position of the pontoon before I had chosen it, so it ends up that I'm directly lined up with the buoy, which is quite nice.
A little bit of advantage, I'd say.
I think so.
Well, alongside me, Jodie Stimpson from Great Britain. Jodie, you are a seasoned pro at this style of racing. Now, what are your thoughts on the course today? Because it's a seriously tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, everyone keeps throwing around the word brutal, and it definitely is. I mean, this swim is just going to be absolute carnage, and I think this is definitely a survival race, definitely.
You love a tough bike course, though, so you're going to love these hills, right?
I like them at the minute, and maybe ask me at the end, it'll probably decrease as every race.
Well, an athlete alongside me just here, Claire Michel from Belgium. Claire, former steeplechase runner. You're going to like the hills on the run, right?
Well, we'll see. I think you can ask me that also at the end of the race. But yeah, it's definitely a good, hard, hilly course, and we'll see what it brings today.
Survival of the toughest, right?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Beautiful weather and perfect conditions. Not too much wind. You can see the flags there on the right of screen as we have a look at the start list blowing. That'll be a headwind up the hill, and the women at the top, Katie Zafiris, Summer Cook, Kirsten Casper, are your American contingent. Megan Foley, Sarah Alexander as well, and Erin Story. There's plenty of talent in the Americans. And look out for Taylor Spivey, number 17 as well. She hasn't been there in Jersey, and therefore you can't see her on the leaderboard as it stands. Katie Zafiris was so good in the Enduro in Jersey and ended up taking it out. And here is the course map. About 50 or so metres out through the big yachts here in Burgu Marina. 2 left-hand turns. Inside spot on the pontoon is key in that one. Into the bike and run on the same course. Through transition, you can see around and up that big hill, about 275 metres in a 6% gradient. Then up to the top turn where the short chute will be for tomorrow, and down an incredibly steep hill. There is plenty to love about this course. The Eliminator, a recap again, a mass start, 1 lap swim, 4 laps on the bike and 2 laps on the run. 10-minute break commences as the first athlete crosses the finish, so less time for each of the subsequent athletes. Down to a mass start for stage 2, with the last 5 eliminated in each of those 2 stages, and the rest go on to stage 3, and we're about to start it in earnest. Here are our women. Ali Brownlee and Chris McCormack join me in commentary, and there is plenty of nervous energy, gentlemen, down there on the start line.
Yeah, there really is. I think this is going to be some really good racing, and yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think Taylor Spivey, who's new to the race.
In Malta, roll out Make sure you're flying in Malta. And they are flying in Malta tonight. Tappers, we couldn't do it without Tappers.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting seeing Erin Story there closest. She's a great swimmer. She's probably in the best pontoon position in terms of the fact that there's a left-hand turn at the boats. But we'll see. Katie Zafiris had her choice of pontoon position. She went for the far end to get some clear water in slot 18. And here we go. We're going to get things underway right now. Erin Story closest to you alongside the American Sarah Alexander. You can see Megan Foley in slot 5, and it's a clean start. Desiree Ryden in the white jersey, one of our younger athletes. But in the middle, who's that?
Not sure, but this first boy's really close, so I expect to see quite a lot of action and argy-bargy around this first boy. That's Katie Sedaris on the the left-hand side of the shot, swimming really quickly, and she's got that clear water that she wanted. And this is the young Canadian there that we can just see the white tri-suit of. It's fantastic having different colours because it actually means you can pick people out, can't you?
Yeah, but already it's Emma Jeffcoat leading there from Danielle Di Francesco, the Australian who led out the Noosa Tri out of the water a couple of years ago, the 24-year-old. So it's 2 Australians in the lead, which makes me very happy at least. Jeffcoat and Di Francesco as they make the first turn. It is very, very close, and the boat hops out of the way there, and there's a bit of a washing machine a little bit further on back, and there's quite a spread through the field already.
Yeah, that's one of the things about having that first buoy so close. You know, if you're in the first 1 or 2, you get round pretty much impeded, straight round, and you're off and you're swimming into your stroke. If you're, you know, if you look in those girls 5 or 6 back where it's all bunched together and 4 or 5 people wide, you're basically just fighting and getting dragged around by the people in front of you. You waste a lot of energy doing that, makes it much harder, and you're also obviously not going as fast and losing time. I think Jeffcoat's taking this out hard. You know, you can see she's got a pretty fast turnover, and she's swimming nicely at the front. I think her tactic here will be spread the field out. If at the end of the day, if you're 20, 30 seconds up on the person in 13th, they've got to catch that, or you stay in the race rather than them. So I think the tactic is she's going to be pretty aggressive, and she's going for it.
She's coming from over swing back range. They're used to this open water swimming. They come out of the big surf life-saving club scene. And it was interesting, I know the discussion before the race was the positions, the pontoon positions on where to start. I know Katie Safari thought that slot number 18 was the best spot, but I was expecting to be a lot further up this early in the race. I think, is that Summer Cook in about 3rd position, 4th position in the red?
Yeah, I think the other thing with where Safaris was starting there, she might have had clear water, but it looked a bit of a longer, it wasn't a straight out to that first buoy. She was on a bit of an angle, so she had to swim a couple of metres, and you know, swimming 3 metres further doesn't sound very much, but over 100 metres, that's quite a significant difference, you know, and a second or two, and that's cost her.
A lot of fighting at the back of the field.
There was some definite fighting there. Whoever is there and who's now at the back of the field just had an arm wrapped around the shoulder and got pushed back a bit. So yeah, it stopped almost dead in the water, and I'd say the spread there it'd be in double figures in seconds, well over 10 seconds. We're going to see in any time now as they exit the water and come into T1.
Plenty of panic at the back of the pack because the day could be over early for 5, or will be over early for 5 athletes as Emma Jeffcoat leads them out of the water, and it's only a swim bike run, so 4 kilometres and then 2 kilometres, and 5 athletes are going to go home. Emma Jeffcoat, the first through transition for the first time. Di Francesco second, and Summer Cook is right behind Katie Zafiris, and you can see the blue, the pink, the green and the red all in the top 5. So they're your top split leaders from Jersey. Katie Zafiris is our overall leader, and there she is closest to the screen, but the first out of transition is Jeffcoat. Good transition from Cook as well, but Jeffcoat and Di Francesco are renowned swimmers, and they're showing that in this one, and now they need to hold on and not get spat out too far. Taylor Spivey, number 17 there, behind Desiree Reitner, and Rachel Klammer from the Netherlands, 2-time Olympian in there as well. So a good early race from Desiree Reitner. She's still, I guess, learning the ropes. She's one of the youngest in the fields. That's why she's wearing the white. Yuko Takahashi too, also new to Super League Triathlon there in the top 10. But Emma Jeffcoat leads them up what we're calling Mount Malta, and it is because it's a 275 metre climb with a 6% gradient, which is not even the end of the hill, it's just the first turn in the hill, and that's where the finish will be. But there's powerful legs required when you've got to hit that 4 times.
And there's a lot of wind today. It's not really showing up on screen, but they're punching right into a headwind right up this hill. It's going to make it a lot more difficult. They'll make a left just up here. It's about a 275 metre climb. They'll make a left. It'll pinch again, and then we've got the big drop down to a hard right-hander.
I'd expect to see Katie Safari just take close order at this. She doesn't want to push it on too much. She's trying to exclude people at the back and keep it safe. You don't want too many people around you. And she knows that if she stays in this position, keeps the other girls off the back here, she can cruise through the rest of this round, not have to ride too hard and not have to run too hard, which is obviously the damaging bit on your leg, especially on the downhill. I think, yeah, she's taken control of the race. She's at the front. She's with a couple of, obviously, Jeff Coates, Summer Cook there at the back of that group in the red, and Desiree riding her. Summer Cook, probably not renowned for her bike handling skills, and this is a really technical descent here, going into this turn, and the dead turn at the bottom that they're hitting now. I mean, they've gone straight down that really quick in 10 seconds, probably quicker than we expected, and they're back on the waterfront.
Yeah, this is the fastest section. You're going to come down here. They've got a chicane as they come back through transition, and you're 100% right. Summer Cook was a little bit tentative off that descent. She left a gap. She's going to have to work here to close that.
So far as it won't take any risks now either, you know, she can just control the front of the race, and it's actually slowed up, as we can see. There's more people coming into it. I think whoever that is at the back there, Charlotte McShane, of the groups that are coming together. Be interesting. Is that number 13? I'm not sure. Could we pick that up from
number
the results?
13, Claire Michelle, I think so. At the moment, coming through transition, Zafiras, Jeff Coate, Casper, Di Francesco and Clammer are your top 5. But let's not forget that this win is not necessary only to stay out of the bottom 5. And at the moment, there's a big gap back to the bottom 5 as it stands. So all of these athletes will know that they're, at the moment, in the clear to an extent, and there's a big gap back to the rest of the field.
Yeah, so these girls will just want to have a nice tempo now and keep away. They know they're pretty safe. I'd maybe expect to see someone there, maybe McShane, want to move up, keep it easy for herself. She knows that if she can push the pace as well and make sure those other girls don't get back in, it's making it easy for her. So we see Erin Story there is in 13th, actually already 15 seconds back, and it's going to be close there between 12th, 13th and 14th. There's only 3 or 4 seconds, and 15th as well, 19 seconds back. So 5, that's the kind of relegation zone, if we're going to call it there, from probably Joanna Brown in 12th down to Sarah Alexander in 15th, and only a few seconds between them.
As we follow the lead pack, if you're following on at home, Joanna Brown is 13 seconds back and leads the tail group, if you like, from Erin Story, Elena Danilova, Sarah Alexander, Claire Michelle, the Belgian, Megan Foley of the USA, and Claudia Seebock of Hungary is 10 seconds behind them as well. So she will be going home if everything stays as it is. Fantastic shots from our drone up there, which is showing you exactly how much the gap is as the girls or the women at the back come down the main hill. So everyone from the top 10 or top 12, if you like, or 11 now as it stands, should be safe.
You wouldn't expect Joanna Brown to be this far back. I think she's taken a lot of risks. You'd prefer to be up in this front group. You know, Summer Cook's drifting back and forth through this front group, but Joanna Brown was one athlete I thought would be a lot closer to the front. I know it's the elimination. She's probably got a lot of
Maybe
girls
she's playing a smart race.
Exactly.
Because there is 7 and only 5 are going to be eliminated, so maybe she's just playing close to the wind.
You can actually see this is her now riding across that gap and riding herself back into the race. So I think she's probably safe. She's going to be, by the time they get to the top of this hill, I'm pretty sure she's going to be on the back of this group, or very close to it, and she'll be safe. That gap now has gone back to it's Claire Michelle, who is in that worrying 13th place and racing it out with a couple of girls around her. If we had some camera shots, it'd be interesting to see how they're working together. You know, are they being tactical about it and just thinking, I'm just got to beat these 3 people I'm with, or are they still working together to push the pace in the hope that they can catch the people in front and give themselves a bit more breathing space in terms of people around them on the run?
Absolute wealth of experience in this front pack, and they'll all know exactly how much work they need to do and how much work is coming up as well as they round the top of the course for the 3rd time and come down the big drop into what is a very tough right-hand turn. And it takes about 10 seconds from top to bottom there, and they are going very quick. Obviously now they're not pushing the pace too much, but we're going to see it up and up as the stages go by. At the moment, Charlotte McShane leads, and 2 Australians there with Emma Jeffcoat and Katie Zafiras looking as composed as ever with Kirsten Casper behind her. And as they make that turn back into transition for the 3rd time, you can see how much clear air is between them and the rest of the field.
Yeah, and that's Joanna Brown there, I think, just making it onto the back. If we can just, I think, the last person around that corner. One of the things with corners like this where you have to brake hard and it's tight is you get the exaggeration of the gaps. It gets much bigger because if you're further back, you have to brake more, and then it's a much harder acceleration out. So that's why we see as we go back, you know, they're pretty close on the first few wheels, probably the better bike handlers as well. And as you go back, the gaps go to metres and even 3, 4, 5 metres even as we go to the back here. But I think these girls know they're safe. I don't think anyone, apart from Joanna Brown, who's probably just had to push there to get herself on the back, is is riding particularly aggressively, either physically or technically.
It looks like a nice pack ride, doesn't it?
It looks very, very controlled. But there's still a win on here. You still make $1,000 if you can win the stage. So I'm wondering if it'll start to push. It's Taylor Spivey, who didn't race with us in Jersey. She's come here and in really good form, actually. She won the World Cup in China recently. She's swimming spectacularly. And
won that swim time trial, but I think was out the swim not in the top 5 or so, or somewhere around there. So quite interesting how that dynamic's different between swimming in your own clear water and swimming in a group. You know, was that to do with the start position or who she started around, or the fact that she maybe doesn't get out quite as fast in that first 100 metres, but when she's swimming she's quick. That's one of the things that Super League kind of highlights.
Well, the two smallest girls in the field are on the front in this sort of hill suit that power to weight ratio in the climbs, but they look very, very controlled. I think they're coming into transition. That was the last lap, isn't it? So they come off to descent, they're starting to adjust the shoes.
Summer Cook is now at the back of that group. I think she's made it round. I think that the hill really works in her advantage. She's obviously fit and got a decent engine, so can get up the hill, and then has to just hold on around the technical bits every time.
All right, feet out of the shoes as they come in to transition for what will be a 2-lap run, and there is plenty of danger for Claire Michelle, Sarah Alexander, Elena Danilova, Megan Foley and Claudia Seebock. They are all between 22 and 1:04 behind this pack, and it looks like they'll be the ones, unless they can have the mother of all runs, to be eliminated. First up in the Eliminator as they cross the dismount line, and it's a 2-lap run, and after 4 times up the bike hill, it's going to be tough on the old legs coming up, but also coming down if you have to race hard. But the girls at the back, or the women at the back, will know that they're in the 5, so it might already be lost for them.
Yeah, well, you go up it twice because you finish at the top, so you only come down it once, interestingly, and I think that might play into, because running downhill can be tougher sometimes than running uphill itself, especially if you've got to do it multiple times. I think the people at the back here, we know that Summer Cook in 12th, but there's Claire Michelle. This is basically, these guys might catch up. You know, they might still, Claire Michelle is known for her running, so she might just get one of these girls that are only 20-odd seconds in front of her, or maybe even less because of the spread of the group. So there's a chance that she's got to run hard, and some of the girls in this pack that maybe aren't the strongest runners have got to keep looking over their shoulders to make sure that they're not getting caught. I think the back of the field, though, I don't think there's any chance. I think that race is gone.
Yep, day done for Megan Foley after a lap and a half, if you like, of the run. But there is your lead pack, and there's plenty of talent amongst them. Rachel Clammer, one of the lighter athletes. She's like the more lithe athletes, alongside one of the stronger athletes in Katie Zafiris, our competition leader. Kirsten Casper behind her, Jodie Stimson there as well, who has been training so hard for this one, and Claudia Seebock, last of all, the Hungarian, who, again, 21 years of age, huge learning curve for her, and experience to be amongst these excellent athletes. It's been invaluable for her.
Yeah, I think she'll be a little bit disappointed. I spoke to her this morning at the hotel, and she was hoping to get through to the second stage. She thought she'd be a lot closer in the swim, and I think that opening first lap and that climb from this woman on the screen right now, Katie Zafiris, did a lot of hard work and split that group, and now it's cruising.
Yeah, so we see already Claire Michelle's made up a decent amount on, I'm not sure who that person is in 12th, but basically she has to get across that gap to stay in the race.
She'll know that too, absolutely.
Yeah, she'll see that, and she'll, if you're Daniela Di Francesco, she's not like these girls at the front that are, pacing the effort a little bit. She'll be going as hard as she can because she knows this is win or bust. She either stays in that 12th position or she's not playing any further part in this. So she will be running as hard as she can, and
really, doesn't she? Because she can get the leg speed up on this down, and she's only got the climb to get to the finish. So
it's going to be a painful last 400 metres for her being hunted down. So yeah, you can see Claire Michelle, I think, just looking round a bit there. She's probably doing the maths on the go in her head and working out what she needs to do. But yeah, she literally just needs to catch the person in front of her.
There's Di Francesco coming around the turn now, and you can see Claire Michelle turning at the top. So that gap is evaporating, and there's still a whole lap to go. But at the front, it's a race in 4 for the $1,000 between. Well, there's not that big of a gap. I won't claim it now, but at the moment, Katie Zafiris, Rachel Clammer, Kirsten Casper and Jodie Stimson are your top 4, with a group behind them who'll just be looking to bring it home. Desiree Ryder at the top of your screen, and in the far distance there is Di Francesco being hunted by Claire Michelle, which is the only real competition, if you like, going on during this opening stage, as everyone tries to play things a little bit tactically, and you've got to start thinking about how much you have left in the tank, because at the end of this, There's a 10-minute break, and we go again. They finish at the top of the hill. They start at the bottom. So we walked it before, 3.5 minutes to walk from the top to the bottom. Then they've got to get their bike ready. They've got to get their heart rate down. They've got to get ready to do this all again. And that's when the Eliminator really starts to pinch.
Yes, definitely. I think stage 2 is when you'll start to see the pinch. And for a lot of these women, it looks very easy because they're cruising, but you start to get that accumulative fatigue. You know, that downhill running will play havoc on the legs, and it's the women like Katie Zafiris on stage on screen now that I think will really be strong in the latter stages of this race.
This is all about getting through it as easy as you can for these girls in the front, for the podium potential people, I guess. Whereas these guys at the back, they've got to run hard to keep themselves in it. Going down the hill, we didn't see anyone really take it on, I don't think, which makes sense for the girls at the front. You don't want that fatigue and DOMs that you can get in your legs, but Di Francesco, she wasn't really going as fast as she could down the hill either, and there you go. It looks like she's actually been caught there. So she's now in the eliminated zone.
Well, there is the bubble. Claire Michelle, you can see at the bottom of your screen, and Di Francesco, both 29 seconds back. One of them is going to go home, and one of them is going to go on to stage 3. Behind them, Elena Danilova as well, who looks like she'll be having an early shower. Sarah Alexander, Megan Foley, and Claudia Seebock. But at the front, Katie Zafiris, she won't be thinking about the money. Maybe she'll be thinking about just showing everyone that she's got plenty.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe she's thinking, actually, I'm going really easy and having a good day. This is the pace I want to go at. Or she could be thinking, well, if some of these girls chase me a bit, I'm taking a bit more energy out of them, and I need to make this the long game, and so everyone ends up at that last race as tired as possible. Who knows?
She always looks very comfortable. Her running style doesn't change from the moment she puts the running shoes on to the moment she crosses the finishing line, and that's the mark of an athlete at the top of their game, and that's certainly what Katie Zafiris is, and that's why she's wearing the pink, and she will take the stage 1 win, take the $1,000. Big smile on the face. Kirsten Casper behind her, Rachel Klammer, Jodie Stimson, Joanna Brown, Charlotte McShane, Summer Cook, our run leader from Jersey, will jog it in as well.
We've seen them all, well, most of them, just carry on running through the line, and that's probably the best thing to do. That's what I would probably recommend, jog through the line, keep jogging, keep the legs turning over going down that hill, and so you arrive at the transition still moving rather than your body's had any chance to seize up at all.
Not everyone, and Claire Michelle on the bubble will do it. So she has tracked down Danielle Di Francesco, and she will go on in our top 12. Di Francesco's race is over. She couldn't hold her off. Elena Danilova, who had a strong run there at the end, couldn't catch Di Francesco, and there is Sarah Alexander as well, another of our strong American contingent who really gave it everything, and you can tell. But that is a tough run finish. You can see from that shot just how steep it is up there, and that really takes it out of the athletes.
They've got 10 minutes now, so for the eliminated athletes, day over. But for the girls up front, it's 10 minutes to get back down to the bottom. It's an uphill finish, so as they start to heat up in the next stage and in the final stage, that's going to be very, very difficult indeed.
Megan Foley makes it to the top of the hill as well, and you saw Claudia Seebock just before they're walking, so she has pulled out with an injury, we hear.
Yeah, or eliminated on the 90-second rule.
We've heard that there's an injury, but
that makes sense, because talking to her this morning, she said she was in good form. She really wanted to get through to stage 2. She seemed very, very confident, so I was surprised to see her so far back.
So there's some different things going on here. Some of the girls talking to the coaches, some of them just walking down, some of them looking like they've really exerted themselves, and others kind of casually jogging, as we're seeing here. Joanna Brown and
she looks comfortable.
Casper just having a chat, so I guess they're feeling good. They got through that stage relatively easily maybe, and they're feeling good about the next one.
Let's have a look now at how stage 1 played out. Emma Jeffcoat led off the front with Di Francesco and Katie Zafiris, Summer Cook behind them. But the superior open water skills of the surf lifesaving background of Emma Jeffcoat did the job. She led out of transition. Katie Zafiris third, and she looked comfortable all the way through. There is Zafiris, and she put herself up behind Jeffcoat for the first lap of the bike. But at no stage did Zafiris, our championship leader, who is 2 from 2 in terms of women's races or women's rounds in Super League at the moment, won both visits to Jersey and now looks very comfortable here in Malta. She led in on the bike and led out on the run, and it ended up in a group of 4, but there was all of these women knew exactly where they were in terms of elimination and then $1,000 US and the chance to cross the line first for Katie Zafiris, whose race so far, or weekend so far, is going exactly to plan.
Well, stage 2 is going to be really interesting. I just think we saw so many of the women in that front group. That's the critical mass. But here's Annie.
Well, the transition is tough, and it's important that these guys get a bit of a break. But what's vital is they get the technical stuff right. Katie, what are you up to right now?
So I'm getting my shoes all situated, make sure I'm in the right gear to start. Don't want to be over-geared after the finish of the last race. So just making sure everything's in tip-top shape so I can start fast.
Okay, you've had a chance to ride the course now. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's really hard. The hill, you can't really go easy on any part of it, so it's just trying to balance the energy and how hard to go, because hopefully I have 2 more rounds left.
What's it like coming into that 180-degree turn at top speed?
Yeah, you just got to make sure you control it. It's pretty tough.
Good luck for the next round.
So much experience for Katie Zafiris, and it all came into play there. We know it's tough for every one of the athletes, but knowing exactly where, well, not in the red zone, you want to be in the orange zone, if you like, and just be able to hover around 80% and just keep doing it minute on minute, and that's exactly what Katie Zafiris did. And she, I guess, take us through, Ali, how you would cope with this 10 minutes. What would you be thinking about in terms of, would you be jogging down the hill? Would you be giving yourself as much time in transition as possible? When you get down here and in transition, for those who are new to triathlon, what do you have to do down here, and what order do you do it in?
So this is a very unique part of triathlon. It happens in no other format at all, where you race once and then very quickly you have to race again. I'd be looking at doing 2 things. I think the first thing is keeping the body moving, because if you sat still for 10 minutes, you'd stiffen up and you wouldn't feel like going again. So keeping you moving, keeping you warm. You can tell it's quite warm out there because they're all wet from obviously doing the swim, and then they haven't rushed to put clothes on, so it's warm enough just to sustain your tri-suit. So that's the first thing. I think the second thing is this technical bit of resetting your transition up that you normally only do once, that we're seeing them do now. So the main thing about that is having a helmet on your handlebars or wherever you like it that's open, then you can get on quickly. 2 or 3 seconds wasted getting your helmet on can be absolutely fatal. And putting your shoes so you can jump on it. If you don't attach your shoes kind of parallel to the floor onto your bike somehow, you can either do it with elastic bands or Velcro. People prefer different things. If you don't do that, as soon as you start pushing your bike, your shoes fly round, and that slows you down, and you can also knock them off on the ground, and then you obviously have to stop and pick it up, which is very time costly, probably 30 seconds at least. And you can see Joanna Brown here attaching it probably to a front derailleur there, just to keep a shoe parallel. It also means when you jump on your bike, you can straight away put your feet on top of your shoes, so you can pedal with your feet on top of your shoes rather than having to stabilise the shoe before that. Or if you're really good at it, which I've never managed to master really, is get your feet straight in your shoe. If you could do that here, you're at a decent advantage, because you could get your feet straight in your shoes, push it on that flat bit and go as hard as you can around that corner, just to put the people who are still faffing around the shoes under a bit of stress, really.
3 Americans eliminated from our contingent: Megan Foley, Sarah Alexander, Erin Story, alongside the Russian Elena Danilova and Claudia Seebach of Hungary. So unfortunate for those women who have put so much into training for Super League. But every single athlete, and we talked about transitions just then, every athlete I've spoken to during the week, I said, what have you been working on since Jersey? And they all said transitions, how important it is, because maybe in an Olympic distance race, or of course in a 70.3 or an Ironman race, if you make a little error, you can make time up. But here, you get dropped off the pack, you're gone.
So there's so many of them, Will. There's so many transitions in this style of racing. So they've been working on it. We talked about it in Jersey, that some of the athletes are out by 80 to 100% difference in transition times than their competitors. So, when you're looking 5-6 seconds over a race of this distance, it means a lot.
And there's a lot of them, obviously. You're doing 3 races, so that's 6 transitions this afternoon. So not only can you lose a couple of seconds here or there, you can that adds up, to lose possibly 20 seconds over all the races. We
can see Danielle Di Francesco on the right of your screen. We were incorrect in saying that she had been eliminated. She is, in fact, through to the next round. So good news for fans of Danielle Di Francesco. Just a mistake here in the commentary box as the women line up for stage 2. So plenty of lactic acid in the muscles, have to work it out, have to consider the fact that we have to do this again, and it will only be the very, very best that make it through. 5 more women to be eliminated in stage 2, and now we are starting to get down
This is the
to
business
brass
end.
tacks, isn't it? This is
Yeah.
the business end, and someone like Di Francesco will know that she'll have to give 110% if she's going to stay on to stage 3. But to be honest, at Super League, in the standard that it is, to make it through to stage 2 is no mean feat.
Well, you saw the last stage. This was basically the front group of women that were away, so now we're going to lose almost half of them. So this is when you'll start to see athletes taking a little bit more chances. I think you sort of get rid of the deadwood in race 1, if you can call it that, and now it's harsh, but I think that's how they'd be thinking, really. It's like, okay, let's get through this as easy as possible, get rid of the athletes we think we can get rid of anyway, but now all these athletes deserve to be in stage 2, and now it's critical.
I think for the some of the back markers, the back 5 in this 13, this swim, this first 50, 75 metres is going to be absolutely crucial. If you're Di Francesco, she's swam well in that first one, but if she can get out in second place, at least she's got a shot of getting away. A bit of a gap on the bike if Katie Zafiris is pushing it a bit, and she might stay in. Similar for Rydenor there, and a few of the others. This swim's going to be crucial because they just don't have the room for error. If they mess it up in that first 75 metres, they're in the back half already, and their strength is basically neutralised. They're going to be in a bit of trouble here.
Well, there'll be a good chance to see what side of the pontoon is actually quickest, because we saw Di Francesco in the first race, second out of the water, and Safari's over in slot number 18.
And she's gone for the same spot again, so she obviously didn't think it was that bad.
Yes.
Well, they've all lined up just about in terms of thinking that the higher numbers are better, because you can see the last place athletes, or the back marker athletes, are all in 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So now with the position that the boys in, maybe a little bit further over to the right than they expected when we did the slot draw yesterday, in terms of where the quickest line, if you like, to the first boy turn is, and the cream of the crop in terms of Zafiris, Casper, there you can see in the green, is in 17. They want to be out there with a little bit of clear water and maybe a little bit less of a distance than we thought originally would be to the opening boy. Now time to get stage 2 underway in the women's Eliminator, and there is 13 going into 8. So 5 more women will go home after this one. Zafiris at the left of your screen, Kirsten Casper next to her.
Di Francesco got a great start again. Very, very good start in slot number 5. So
she's a great swimmer. I mean, you can tell straight away she's getting herself into some good water, good turnover, good kick. You know, swimming's obviously a real strength of hers. Look, it's really hard to tell from the angle, but I think that number 18 spot is almost certainly shorter because of the angle that the pontoon's kind of slanted at. So you're just a little bit closer. So maybe it was a tactic of Zafiris in that first one or not to take it a bit easier. I don't know. But she's leading this one.
Exactly.
So yeah, she's gone straight out and. Yeah, she's leading the race. Here we go, the fight at the first boy again, even closer this time, but everyone seems to have got around relatively unscathed there.
Right, clear water for Katie Zafiris, and Claire Michelle had a tough start, so she's at the back of the pack, and there's plenty of fight going on as the pressure rises in the women's Eliminator. If you're just joining us, we've lost 5 women already in the opening swim, bike and run. There's been 10 minutes break, and for another swim, bike and run in stage 2, where 5 more women will go home, and the final 8 will go on to race for the victory and the maximum amount of round points. Of course, this is a 2-day extravaganza of Super League Triathlon. We've got the equaliser tomorrow, which is a whole new set of format and whole new set of rules. We've had an individual time trial for the swim already leading into that yesterday afternoon here in Malta, and there is plenty more racing to go for the women today. The men to take on this exact same course later this afternoon, 3:20 local time. But right now it's the Katie Zafiris show. She looks so comfortable in the opening stage, just measuring her performance, and at the back of the pack already there's probably 7 or 8 athletes who'll know that they're amongst a group who are in maximum danger. But Zafiris leads our group, and it's already starting to string out a little bit as they head towards the second buoy. They'll turn for home. It's only a 300-metre swim. 4 laps on the bike of this 1.1 kilometre course and 2 laps on the run.
You can see it's really rough in here. I'm pretty sure it's my compatriot Jodie Simpson swimming over people and not in a straight line. You can see it's the back mark. There's 3 of them there and someone off the back already, but in there those girls are fighting pretty hard and not swimming fast. I think it's going to be fun to see how Zafiris takes this one, you know, because she probably has to be a little bit more aggressive than the one before, but she still doesn't want to be too aggressive in terms of the pacing and pushing it along, because she's thinking of that the last race. But I think this is probably for her a slightly less competitive field. than Jersey, and so she's probably pretty confident as well, I would have thought.
Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, it's interesting to see they've gone a lot wider here on the left side of screen, the main group, and these three have gone a lot wider. I don't know if they bummed that.
Well, that's Jafko, I'm pretty sure, leading that second group, so maybe she took a bit of a better line from her surf life-saving days experience.
She's nearly caught the front of that rope there. You could see that someone got caught up on the rope of that.
But she made up a lot of space.
Out, but Di Francesco out, Takahashi, Emma Jeffcoat as well. Katie Zafiris leads them through with quite the gap from Di Francesco, who finds herself in second position as she did in the opening stage, and she'll know that she needs to really put the foot down on this bike if she's going to stay with this pack. There's Emma Jeffcoat in the blue, our swim leader from Jersey. Yuko Takahashi is there as well, as is Rachel Klammer.
She's been swimming very well, Takahashi. She was third out in the first stage and right up there again.
All right, but Zafiris off the front. 3:41 into transition. Takahashi, Jeffcoat, Di Francesco with the head up there and pushing hard. Stimson, Klammer, Taylor Spivey, Kirsten Casper.
Claire Michelle's got some work to do.
She does indeed.
Yeah, she has to make this group, otherwise she's in trouble. She'll have to ride on her own. You saw most of them jump on and try to get their feet in the shoes as quickly as possible, and that's because they know this hill straight away. If you've got a bit of flat road or a bit of downhill, it's sometimes worth getting your speed up first, and then once you're moving quickly, obviously stop pedaling and put your feet in your shoes. But with a hit, you do not want to be hitting that hill without your feet in your shoes, because you probably don't really have a chance to do it on the downhill either. So that's why they're selecting to do it. Zafiris, she's pushing a little bit here. I think she's just stretching that field out and making them work for it.
There's a lot more urgency in this stage than we saw in the first. So it's she's so strong in Jersey as well. She seemed to get stronger and stronger as the stages went on. And again, I think that's her biggest strength in this Super League racing. She'll even be better tomorrow.
And some of the girls behind her, we just saw some of Takahashi, and I think Jodie Simpson's just kind of on the back of that group here. They're having to work really hard. Look at this, that's the face on Jodie there to get herself back in this race.
Claire Michelle has managed to stay in touch with Desiree Rodner, who's just managed to stay in touch with the rest as they bomb down this hill. We're calling it the drop, and it is. I guess the TV angle there doesn't do it justice, but when you walk down there, you realise just how steep that is and how hard it is on the quads on the run down if you really have to push yourself. And then that tight turn, that gives you a great view of how tight that turn is and how big a handful of breaks you need to take to make sure you don't overshoot that corner. But Katie Zafiris off the front, and this is a lot closer race. We've kind of...
You're at a decent advantage, actually, on this course if you've got disc brakes, because you can just stop so much faster with the stopping power. So that means you can carry your speed much later into the corner and brake much later and carry your speed round it better.
So that's got to be brave, don't you?
Well, not so much, because you know it's going to stop you, so you're in a better position. This bit is crucial here for Claire Michelle, because she's not going to be able to run herself back into this race by 20 seconds.
And Summer Cook really has to, and I mean this with the utmost respect, do some work on her bike technical bike skills, because she loses so much time. She struggled on that descent. She's got such a magnificent run, but she has to use so much of it.
She's obviously pretty strong on the bike. Yes. When you actually see her go up the hill, she moves all right, but this is a slow uphill corner, and she's not going around it at all. I think she could be so much better, and she just looks unhappy on a bike. I don't know. She maybe needs to spend some time. And these girls, they're riding harder. This is crucial, and I think it's a time trial for Katie Zafiris here. I think she's going, I can judge my effort. I don't have to worry about getting caught in a crash or getting caught up with any of these other girls. I can just time trial it and
control the run,
do the effort when I need to do it.
Being able to measure your effort like that throughout the course of a stage, when it comes to that 10 minutes, how much more, if you don't have to really put the effort in just to get in on the bubble, being able to bring that heart rate down and stay composed going into stage 3 would be invaluable. If you have to really push it like Claire Michelle did, for example, everything is rushed in that 10-minute period.
And you get to relax the run. The run, I think, is where you do most of the damage between these stages. And if you can open up on the bike, be technically more astute, work where you need to, get a gap like Katie's got now. She can control the run, control that effort, and that's all it's what happens in stage 3 that's important. You win stage 3, you win this race. So I think it's a great spot to be in.
So when you go into a corner like that in a line, really the kind of etiquette is that you follow the wheel in front of you. You can make it a lot harder and move up a few places by dive bombing down on the right-hand side, breaking late and forcing your way into the line. And we actually just saw Joanna Brown do that there. I don't know if she did it on purpose because she needed to move up 2 or 3 places, or she didn't really know what she's doing, but that's quite a good way to crash if you want to. But also a really good way of gaining 3 or 4 places. Just no one around you will thank you for doing it. I think
nothing escapes the eagle eye of Ali Brownlee. If you do something wrong on this course, he will call you out.
Oh, I'm just opening it up for the viewers so people understand.
No, keep doing it. Keep doing it, please.
I think this is tough. I think Desiree Ryder here, I think she's out.
Yes.
She just about made it through that last one, didn't she? And fantastic for doing it because she's young, but I think we can probably say that she's eliminated now.
Yeah, Desiree Ryder last time through transition, 18 seconds back. The group at the front, Katie Zafira, 6 seconds up on Stimson, Takahashi, Jeffcoat. Charlotte McShane has just moved to the front of that group. Rachel Clammer, Taylor Spivey, Joanna Brown, and then in the elimination zone, Danielle DiFrancesco are 10 seconds back. Kirsten Casper is in that zone as well as it stands, and Claire Michelle, Summer Cook, and Desiree Ryder as well. But there is quite a group here of swapping places, and Jeffcoat on the back of that.
It's starting to pinch.
Yeah, Charlotte McShane's really pushed it on that one. I don't know whether that's because we were talking about earlier, she's light and she does just get up hills better than people, or she's going, actually, if I can stretch this group out and have that 10-second buffer on maybe 8th place, I can run that a little bit easier, like you just said, and control the run, and that means it's less damaging going into the next round.
Yeah, Casper moving on to the back of that pack and making sure she stays in touch, and Michelle, Cook and Ryden are the ones who should really be worried, and you can see 2 of them heading down there. Quite a gap back, and I think that's Ryden coming down last of all. But Summer Cook is, as you say, her bike skills maybe not up to scratch of the other athletes, and this is a technically difficult course as well as being incredibly brutal. Can expose that, and that's what Super League Triathlon is all about, exposing tiny weaknesses, and when you're a complete athlete like Katie Zafiris we keep talking about, there is no problem.
Yeah, I wouldn't actually say it's that technical. Jersey's a lot technical because you're hitting a lot of those corners, 5 or 6 corners a lap fast. I mean, here, basically, there's actually 1 technical corner, and that's not that technical because you probably can't get around it that fast anyway because you've got to slow so much going into it.
Yeah, okay.
So technical in terms of the going up the hill and how you manage that effort and coming off it, but not in terms of going around corners, I'd say. You can make it. We just saw, some of them almost crash into each other on that flat bit. So
make it a little bit more technical than it needs to be.
Yeah, possibly.
And you're coming off a descent, and if you're a bit uneasy on the bike, you hit some top speeds, you come off a descent, you've got to make a sharp right-hander, it can put you off, you leave a bit of a gap, and the women up front sort of open that as it goes into that Constantina type effect, and that's where she seems to be getting exposed. So I think she backs her run a lot more. We're talking about Summer Cook, she'll be able to run through here, but if she could work on that and get a little bit more confidence and stay up near the front, she could really challenge someone like Katie Zafiris for a win.
Well, we saw Casper actually go on a tri-bars on that straight bit and nearly fall off because she was on a tri-bars, went over a bump and was close to a wheel in front of her. So, yeah, you can make it a lot harder for yourself if you want to as well. But this, on the face of it, really is 1 corner that they're about to go around now. You break into it, get around it, and that's about it. Just don't be too far down the group.
The one we're not talking about a lot is Takahashi. I've seen her up near the front. She's been well positioned.
Yeah.
She swam great. She looks fantastic on the bike. She sits right up, never too far back. That being said, she seems to have drifted back on that descent. But and she looks to be running well. And it's the first time we've seen her in the Super League racing. So it's our first ever Japanese racer.
So we're coming to transition onto the run now, and this gap behind Katie Zafiris hasn't grown at all. She's just controlled it. I think she's had a great race, and there's a bit more of a fight behind her, I think, with Taylor Spivey just making it first into T2 there for this round. And I think there's probably 3 girls off the back here who are almost certainly eliminated, but that means there's 2 more out of this group that they've got a race for. Summer Cook potentially could run herself back into it with Michelle maybe, but Summer Cook known for a running strength, but I think it's going to be hard for her. It's a tall ask.
Well, DiFrancesco, we saw in his last stage, struggled on that run. She's not renowned for running, and you've got both Cook and Claire Michelle coming at you.
If one of them does overtake Danielle DiFrancesco, they'll have to take the next person in that group,
okay.
And that could be anyone. So at the moment, there's 3, including Desiree Ryder, who's last of all, and Jeffcoat is in that 9th position, but she's off the back of the pack. So already you can see Summer Cook really putting the hammer down there.
It's DiFrancesco. They've got her already.
I think Summer Cook's probably going to do it. You saw, actually, that gap didn't look as far as you thought it might be, and we're seeing it now as they run around the corner. That's Jeffcoat in the blue, Summer Cook in the red, and you can see the difference in speed. Cook's cadence is almost twice that of Jeffcoat's. I think Cook's probably going to catch a few here.
She could catch Casper as well there, who, I mean, she's got the running style that she can do it all day, but Summer Cook is certainly pushing the pace, and she's already about to catch Emma Jeffcoat, and there she is around the turn and up the hill, but already near the top of the hill, Katie Zafiris.
This is a different type of running for a lot of these girls as well. You know, the standard World Series kind of courses you see straight on a really flat road out and back is kind of about tempo running, and you just get into a rhythm and crack on. And, I mean, this is rhythm breaking. You're going up a hill, down a hill, round a corner, a bit of flat here, and that is quite different. So, you know, they might struggle a little bit with that. Summer Cook's already gone past Jeffcoat.
She relies so much on her run. She's in the red runners jersey from the Super League. We saw it in Jersey. She ran through a lot. And she relies so much. And I'm wondering if Kirsten Casper, who you see just in front of her in the green cycling jersey, is just being very, very conservative. She looked over her shoulder, she did the count, and she's not mixing it up in the pace. There's no need to. If you're very, very safe, she gets through to the last race, and it's the last race that matters.
She's not, though, but not only is Summer Cook coming fast, we've also got Claire Michelle coming fast. And if Michelle catches Casper with her still in front, she's going to go through and Casper's out, I think. So that would be the 8th.
Yeah.
And Yuko Takahashi, who, as you say, she's been at the front all day, is suddenly in the danger zone. There is Claire Michelle, and there is Summer Cook, and that's around where our bubble is at the moment. Zafira, Spivey, Stimson, McShane, Clammer, Brown are our top 6. Takahashi 7th, Casper's 8th, and only the top 8 go through. That leaves currently Jeffcoat, DiFrancesco, Cook, Michelle, Rydener, but it's changing so much around that bubble, and we'll get a real chance when they come through transition to have a look at who's going to be strong up that hill the last time, because some people looked comfortable and some people looked like they were having a struggle. So one more time up through transition, one more time around the turn and up Malta Mountain, and we'll see out of the women you can see on screen who's going to go through, because only 7 of that group, with Zafiris off the front, are going to make it through, and Takahashi's day could be over.
Taylor Spivey looks very, very relaxed, very comfortable. She was counting. She's got the climb to go, and you can see by the faces that the hill's starting to take a bite. You know, you've done it, we're our 4th time up this climb as we come through transition, and
Zafaris is romping this, and she's just easy. You can see nothing on her face. I think Summer Cook is still our 8th marker here. She's just passing Casper. So they're 7th and 8th, I think.
So one of them's going home.
7 and 8.
7th and 8th.
So there's now a potential.
No, 8's in.
No, 8's in.
Yes.
So there's potential for Claire Michelle to catch that last person, but I probably don't think that's going to happen.
I agree.
DiFrancesco 2nd out of the water in both of the 2 stages, just squeaked in stage 1. That's not going to happen in stage 2, and Kirsten Casper is on the bubble, so she is 8th as it stands. There are our group of women who'll go on into stage 3 if Claire Michelle can't catch the back of this pack, and there is the gap between Casper in the green, and that's actually Takahashi in there as well. So
she's gone backwards out that group, so she's almost certainly not going to come back to pull her way back into the next round, and we can't. Claire Michelle is away back there. I'd say at least 15 seconds. So I think we can safely say these 8, and Taylor Spivey there is really measuring her effort. Seen her look behind a lot in that last few hundred metres you wouldn't want to sprint max up this hill for the last 400 metres if you didn't have to, and she knows what she's doing here.
A couple of our Frenchmen on the right just warming up for the men's race. Vincent Louis, who's our championship leader, alongside Leo Bergeret there, just going out of screen onto the right. The 2 Frenchmen. Louis so strong. His partner Taylor Spivey looking, as you say, so comfortable, but out the front and up the hill for the last time in stage 2 is Katie Zafiris, who has sent a message, if she didn't do it already in Jersey, to the rest of the field, and she'll pick up another $1,000 and she'll move her way in to stage 3 looking incredibly comfortable. So already 2 times through the tape for Katie Zafiris, and she looks super happy, and why not? Here come the rest of the pack, and she can just sit back and see who she has to fight in stage 3. And that will be Joanna Brown, who found herself in the bubble in stage 1, who's come through. Rachel Clammer, Jodie Stimson, Summer Cook gets in, Charlotte McShane, Kirsten Casper, and Taylor Spivey, who's smart. She just let herself drift to the back there, didn't need to do the job. And in 9th, unfortunately, is Yuko Takahashi, who misses out, and Claire Michelle, who has been fighting all day, fights away into 10th position.
Taylor Spivey drifted back from 4th all the way to the last qualifying position up that climb, which is very, very smart.
Measured her effort really well. But you did see coming across the line, you know, a few of those girls definitely had slightly more pain faces than they did in the first round.
And already they've got to turn their attention, because they've got about 9 minutes into stage 3. Emma Jeffcoat and Desiree Ryden sprint to the line. Well, one of them sprints and the other one gets over the line. Unfortunately, their day's done as well. Of course, there is points on offer in terms of positional placing, and that feeds into the overall round points and championship points. Desiree Ryden, the Canadian, has given everything, as has Danielle Di Francesco, who has enjoyed every moment of her time here in Malta, as they all have, and enjoys crossing the line, has put everything into it. And to make it to stage through is a big feat for anyone. And for the 24-year-old, no different. So after all that, I mean, who do you think, we know Katie Zafiris looks...
We're looking at the eliminated athletes, and they look absolutely cooked. It's a lot warmer out there than it looks like on screen. But I know you're eliminated. You're probably on the bubble anyway, and you're hurting. But they look absolutely tired.
Well, isn't that what you wanted it to be when you made this up?
Well, you see the difference of the women up front. They're looking very composed, very controlled, but you can see it's really starting to pinch when you compare stage 1 to stage 2. It was a different looking race, and this is the business end now. We talked about it earlier. This is the only stage that matters if you're running for the race win, and it's what happens now. Wherever you finish in this stage is where you finish overall.
All right, let's take a look back at stage 2. We had 13 athletes jump off the swim pontoon in positions they could choose themselves based on their own finishing position. Katie Zafiris won it. She went off in 18 and she came out of the water first, and another clean transition for her. She's very clinical, we know that. And she had a bit of a lonely race out front all the way through this stage, and it allowed her to measure her efforts, as there's a couple of very tight turns, just allowing her to see where the rest of the pack was, and she did. The rest had to fight it out, and there was a time when we thought that we'd have a bit of a struggle on the bubble, but the cream rose to the top, as it tends to do. So a lonely ride for Zafiris. She measured about a 4 to 6 second gap all the way through that bike, and just increased it on the run and looked well within her means all the way through. Casper Cook ran herself out of contention and back into contention, but at the end of the day, Desiree Ryden and Di Francesco go home, and Katie Zafiris goes on to stage 3, where championship or round points are on offer. 25 for the winner, 21 for second place, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8 and 6 for our top 8. And that feeds into somebody who will win the $20,000 US dollar prize, for the round win and championship points as well. Annie Emerson is down in transition right now, and she's going to try and get a word with someone down there. Annie?
Summer Cook, you gave yourself a little bit of work to do. How did that run feel?
Probably the first 800 meters of the run were pretty tough, but I was able to get it back in control at the end. I'm a pretty good downhill runner, and I was really able to use the downhill to my advantage. And it's not great to have to do that, but it's better than using some other parts of the course. So hopefully I still save some matches for the last race.
Summer, I know this is a tough question, but what have you got to do on the bike to get it right on those technical sections? Because that's where you're losing the time.
Just really maintain focus through the technical sections, and I also put myself in a little bit of trouble in T1. I couldn't buckle my helmet, where, going through the technical sections poorly is never a good thing, but I would have at least had a little bit more room if I hadn't spent an extra 5 seconds trying to buckle my helmet.
Your teammate is absolutely flying. What have you girls got to do to pull back some of that deficit?
The thing about this format is anything can happen. The swim is total chaos. You never know where anyone's going to come out. So I think that you really don't know where anyone is going to be going into the next round. So that's kind of what makes it fun.
Great stuff. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Annie, and thank you also to Summer for taking one of her 10 minutes before she heads into transition to heads out to stage 3 again to do the job. Katie Zafiris already with her eyes on the prize, but a tough question, and good on Annie for asking it regarding her bike skills, but just maintaining focus for Summer Cook and just being, just finding out where the line is and stepping back 1% from that.
Yeah, she backs her run so well. We saw it in Jersey. She was running out of her skin, and she relies on it. And as she said, her downhill, her long legs are able to open up on that downhill. And if she can stay close, as I said, I think she could really challenge Safaris if the group can stay together. But she needs to be close enough to be in that position.
I'm not sure it is all about focus either, actually. I think you can overthink these things a lot of the time, and you go, right, I need to do this round the corner, and the corner becomes a big deal rather than just getting on and doing it and kind of going with the flow of it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the other thing she said
the
as
wind
well.
picking up, you can see that from the flags to the left of screen. If you're just joining us, we've had stage 1 and 2. It's a 1-lap swim, 4 laps on the bike, 2 laps on the run. We lost 5 of our 18 women eliminated in that one. A 10-minute break into stage 2, just the same. Swim, bike and run, 5 again eliminated. And now we are at the cream of the crop, the top 8. The Super 8, 1 lap, 4 laps, 2 laps, swim, bike and run. And the first athlete across the line wins and takes a maximum 25 round points from 21, 18, 16 down to 8 for our 8th placed athlete. And the prize they're all aiming for is $20,000 at the end of tomorrow. There's 25 competition points on offer in tomorrow's racing as well, adds up to a total of 50. And you'd have to say that Katie Zafiris has one hand on that $20,000 as it stands right now. The wind picking up, and that wind is heading straight into your face as you come up that hill. And I guess when you're a strong athlete like Katie Zafiris, it's sort of negating that power to weight ratio because it's a little bit tougher to get up that hill.
Yeah, well, Katie's establishing a position straight out of transition. She drives that first climb, gets the gap, and it's very, very important for the women now to ensure that doesn't happen. I think we'll see a lot more urgency in the second group. I think Taylor Spivey's one to look for. I just think she looks really, really controlled and comfortable, very, very attentive to where she was, controlled her effort, and I expect to see her a lot closer to the front this time, and this is the business end. What happens now is all that matters.
I think you're going to see athletes who, as Summer Cook said, see how many matches they've got left if they're storing it up, and maybe Zafiris is going to be finding herself being attacked from all angles. And I mean, who would you pick out, Ali, of that group who can do the job?
To take on Zafiris. Yeah, I think it's really hard to see past Zafiris. You know, it might be unpredictable, as Summer Cook was telling us, but I think we can probably predict that Katie Zafiris, bar a crash or one of these boats running over her, she's going to be at least near the front of the race, if not off it. I think taking it to her, I think it's tough. I think really the only person who got close in Jersey was Beau Grand, who isn't here. So in absence of her, I think it's going to be tough. That said, if she does miss a bit, you know, if she comes out to swim 5th or 6th, and some of those girls who might be a bit of aggressive on the bike, like Charlotte McShane, Jodie Simpson, maybe Taylor Spivey, they could at least make it hard for her. But if we see her out of the swim here, if she's at the front again or in second place, I think it's a big ask for any of these girls to take it to her.
Well, when you've got less people swimming, it starts to open up a lot more gaps because people aren't filling in those holes. The weaker swimmers get a little bit more exposed. So we saw Katie in the last stage. She was very, very clear water led start to finish. And but let's see if Summer said she got beaten up a little bit in that swim. She's usually a very, very good swimmer. Maybe she can be a lot closer.
All right, the afternoon is wearing on here, and so is this Eliminator race. There'll be plenty of sore muscles in the morning for these women who make it through to stage 3. They've already done 2 triathlons and we're about to put them through a 3rd. And what a beautiful setting Malta has been across the course of the week. These athletes have enjoyed, and this is really unique. And Super League tries to go to unique places. We're going to Mallorca next weekend as well, and also places that provide a true test for the athletes. And you can see how steep that hill is, and it doesn't finish across that finishing line. You've got to go up and hit that top marker and then down the drop as well. And it's fantastic to see Malta turning out to have a look at Super League and to watch the best in the world take on short course triathlon like you've never seen it before. And we've got 8 women left down here in Burgu Marina.
I think it's worth saying that we haven't seen anyone here go the hardest yet. I mean, you know, for example, Taylor Spivey might have really judged her effort well, and maybe Zafiris has been going that little bit harder. We don't know. This, for these top girls, is all about getting through those rounds, and now this is the business end. So maybe it's a bit harder to predict than we're giving it.
And Taylor's got this outside run. There's no one to her left, so she could get some clear water.
Here we go for stage 3. The girls have been holding back a little bit, and now it's time for all-out racing. Forget the tactics, forget trying to finish on the bubble. Now it's trying to win a sprint triathlon. Swim, bike, run, all that stands between these women and the maximum championship points. And there is Summer Cook giving it everything in the middle, but already on the left of screen, Katie Zafiris is going to take the lead and give herself a clear shot to the first buoy in the left-hand turn, and that is a carbon copy of how it all panned out.
To me, she looks like she's taking this a lot more aggressly. Like her stroke's faster, she's kicking harder. I think she is now taking this on. It looks a bit different, and there's actually clear water.
Yeah.
It's a hard position. We've talked about this before, but all those girls behind her in the line, the 5 or 6 of them, they're slowing each other down, and unless one of them gives way, no one's going to get on her feet. So she's gone already, potentially.
She's dropped. There is no one on her feet. You're exactly right. That dragging off each other slows everyone down, and once that open water goes, it clears out.
And whoever there is, there's someone trying to make it across, and you just see that it was half a body length only 5 seconds ago, and now it's a full body length because these 3 girls behind her, which I think there's Spivey there, Charlotte McShane, I'm not sure who the other one is. But yeah, they've basically just let Katie just have an easy ride here.
Right, and she's extending that gap as the seconds tick by, and that could spell a best second place finish for the 3 wide here. Kirsten Casper in the middle, and Spivey, there's Summer Cook and Charlotte McShane as we head back through the pack. But yeah, all these women taking time from each other as they fight for second position, and that's what they could be doing for the rest of this race, fighting for second position, as Katie Zafiris is making it look too easy at the front.
Yeah, and you can see that they're trying to make that across the gap, and that's Taylor Spivey there on the right of our screen in the group. But just the person on the hip, and I think is that Kirsten Casper there, because she's about halfway down and kind of swimming next to her hip, she's really slowing her down. If she gets slow water, she's still got a draft from Zafiris in front. You know, you get that probably as far as 10 metres back, so she has got a chance of catching it, and she's just getting into clear water now, and maybe she's starting to make it across that gap. And yeah, you see it is just starting to close a bit because she's got the clear water. She's going a bit of a dodgy angle, but she's got a chance and out of the draft as well. She wants to be really straight behind if she possibly can to make the most of the line. I think it's probably actually Zafiris that took the wrong line there. She's had to come a long way around that boy, hasn't she?
Yeah. We'll see if Spivey can make some time up as they straighten out and head for home. And she looks like she got up to about 2.5 body lengths, and it's down to a body length now. And Cook comes around the outside of Casper, and those two now fighting. But Spivey's found a way into some clear water, as we say. And there's our 4 at the back there, also fighting. Joanna Brown last of all. But Katie Zafiris will lead out of the water this time. Spivey from Cook and Casper. And
then Jodie Simpson behind those two. So Cook and Casper in a good position. Like Summer Cook says, she needs to nail this transition now. And if she can nail the transition and get out on the bike, she knows that technical part is a weakness. At least she's got the rest of the group to fall back, down, rather than starting at the back and just going off the back.
Big crowd looking on as the women hop out of the water. And Katie Zafiris will be first of all. Gets a hand out, doesn't need it. She's been so good in transition each of the times she's been through onto the black carpet. Casper comes out in 4th. Clammer, McShane, Stimson and Brown. And there are your top 8.
I was wrong about Jodie Simpson. Simpson's at the back there, so they're going to have to ride really hard on this first part of the bike. Zafiris, she's just clinical, isn't she?
Yeah.
She doesn't look like she's rushing. I think rushing sometimes makes it slower, and she just gets it right clinically every time, and that's why she's so good at this format.
You saw Taylor Spivey in a real rush through transition. She knows if she can jump on the wheel of Katie Zafiris out of here.
She's had a terrible transition, and now
she's dropped to 8.
Yeah, so she's absolutely neutralised any advantage she had on the swim. It's really slow to get on a bike, no flying mount there, and yeah, she's probably lost 5 or 6 seconds at least. But the bigger picture of that is that could cost her 15 or 20 seconds on this bike because she hasn't got the group to fall back through. Katie Zafiris is just taking it on, isn't it?
Look at that.
We haven't seen that aggressive racing from her yet today. I mean, she's actually really going for it now, and yeah, she just wants to control this from start to finish. I think this is probably going to be a domination from her. Taylor Spivey's coming hard up the hill behind her to try and get on.
She's got a fair bit of work to do if she's going to do that. There's probably an equal gap between Zafiris and Spivey, is between Spivey and Casper, who leads the pack, now tailed by Summer Cook. And after all the talk we heard about transition, little mistakes have cost her exactly like she was trying to avoid. But top of the course, first time, Katie Zafiris, and here comes the chasing pack behind Taylor Spivey. Cook's managed to tack on to the back of that pack, but
she's obviously quite strong when she rides on the hill. She rides fast, if not faster than quite a lot of those other girls around her. It's just whether she's 5 seconds off the back after she goes around that bottom corner that Zafiris is going round now. She's actually riding a bike with disc brakes, so she can afford to brake really late, get round the corner, and it's tight. It's actually a funny angle, that corner. You go into it very wide and you come out of it very narrow, so it's quite got a big potential for it to go wrong.
She is in clear air though, Katie Zafiris, and already in that first lap of the bike has put more time into Taylor Spivey, and she just looks so strong up the hill.
she's so strong up the first climb. It's where she's established a break on every single stage today, and she gets that gap. She likes to be out in front. She gets established, and she's remarkable.
The thing is, if you're a good swimmer, not only are you fast and you're at the front, you can also control your effort a bit. So you come out of the water that little bit fresher, you've got a little bit more gas to give it going up that first bit of the hill, or push, whatever the first bit of the bike is, and I think that's what she's doing really well. These girls, it'll be interesting to see if they start looking at each other, or they just take it on to catch Spivey in front of them. Because it's the multi-day format, you should really be trying to get every position you possibly can and move up and catch.
Well, you see the difference in urgency between this group and what's happening up front with Katie. She is top to bottom, out of the saddle, this first climb, grinding a bigger gear, punches through this left-hand turn up here, and just opens up every single climb.
Yeah, she's away, and that gap is definitely only getting bigger. The interesting part of the race now is going to be whether these girls catch Spivey, and it's going to come down for the run. Hopefully a 400-metre dash for the last minute of racing.
Yeah, if we put that into context, Katie Zafiris might walk away with 25 of a possible 50 round points with $20,000 on offer. Let's say Taylor Spivey takes 21 points, if indeed she does. But between 3rd and 8th, there's a 10-point gap, 18th for first and 8th for 8th position. And when it comes down to not only prize money but also championship points and every marker that you would like, the difference between 3rd and 8th in the Eliminator in this pack, it may only be a second, but it's going to be huge, and there will be plenty of fight when they come up that run for the last time, especially if Spivey joins them in 2nd position and we have a group of 7.
This group went up that hill really quick on that last time and took a lot of time out of Spivey. I think we saw Joanna Brown at the front on that dead turn, and so maybe she really put a bit of effort in. But they haven't caught much going down the hill. But that gap's coming back. I think they'll have caught her by the end of the bike, and they'll be going out on the run as a group of 7, with maybe Summer Cook probably a bit off the back.
I see this as sort of the women's racing now, especially here at Super League. It's sort of a little bit, I'm saying this with the utmost respect, the Brownlee effect. You guys were so far ahead of the game. She seems to be, a lot of the girls seem to let her go and say, look, I can't cope with that, because leave her out of the picture, and she dominates, and they start looking at 2nd, 3rd and 4th position. I know, having raced you once or twice, Alistair, I never even looked at you as a person I could potentially beat. It was always looking at the athletes around me.
You're about 25 years older than
But it was. I used to see a lot of the athletes. They're like, look, they're in the, I can't touch that. It's too difficult, too hard. I'll start looking around, focus on the athletes I'm used to racing, and just try and be more consistent, because she's dominating everywhere she races, and she races with such aggression and such strength. It's demoralising for the others.
It's multi-day format as well. If you're thinking, actually, I can chase Katie here, and that costs me a few extra percentage of energy, but actually tomorrow's another day.
Yeah.
I think it's been a bit clever about how you manage that kind of load, I guess, over the weekend. And I think rightly so, these girls should now start looking and going, actually, what do I need to do to come 2nd or 3rd in this race? And that means beating so-and-so, and that means I need to be here coming to transition, and that'd be the sensible way to race. I think it's probably still racing aggressively, so that's why Spivey's still riding. She knows that I need 5 or 10 seconds going out onto the run, maybe, and maybe I can hold on to 3rd. Maybe that's a calculation she's making. So that's why she's still riding hard, and it doesn't really make that much difference whether you're in a group or not, because you're just going up a hill. You're not really getting that much of a draft, although it's a slight headwind, so you get more draft than you would if it was a tail or no wind. And then you're going straight down the hill, and then you've got this bit on a flat where maybe you can just get a bit of recovery. So I think you're probably just better riding and making it hard for everyone here.
Summer Cook starting to fall a little way off the back wheel of Jodie Stimson in this group, and she is currently in 8th position. Zafiris just looks so smooth through that S-bend into transition, and already she's back on the hill for the 3rd time, and just looking so composed. You can see it in her features. She knows exactly how much effort she needs to put in. Spivey's still holding off the group, and there is Cook last of all as they come round onto Malta Mountain. But at the moment, last time through transition, Zafiris has a 13-second advantage over Spivey, who's 4 seconds ahead of Brown, McShane, Clammer, Casper, Stimson, and Cook last of all as they go up the hill one more time. And there's the gap between Spivey and the chasing pack, and Summer Cook's just doing everything she can to stay in touch with that pack.
really big gear from Zephyrus there. I think she can probably afford a little gear, especially at the top. Maybe she's made the calculation not to take it down. But you can see it's become a lot more aggressive from this pack on this last lap. I don't know who, maybe it's Joanna Brown, but you saw at the bottom of that hill that a few of them towards the back had to really rev to stay on, and
they dropped Cook.
Yeah, that's why that gap to Cook. You know, if Cook was in this pack, if she was there, we'd all be going, yeah, she's probably odds on for a podium position here. As it is, with 10 or more seconds off the back, I think you know, she's really got her work cut out.
Full credit to Taylor Spivey for staying committed in the chase after Katie, because you know, we're on to the last lap. She hasn't been picked up. She'll get a nice clearer run through transition, and she could put herself on the podium.
I think Joanna Brown's ridden well there. You know, I don't know if she's a renowned cyclist, but to me she looks like she's really pulled that group along, and got a bit of a gap for herself coming into T2, probably, you know, going through that last corner. So yeah, that's really good to see.
Yeah, Brown really coming into her own in the last couple of years. Commonwealth Games bronze and a bunch of top 10s in World Triathlon Series events, Bermuda, Edmonton, Montreal, and she had a great year in 2017 as well. So she's really coming into her own, the 25-year-old, and she'll be looking at potential second place, and there she is coming out of transition. Casper behind, Stimson, McShane and Summer Cook, who's been dropped off the back, and she'll have to have the run of her life if she's not going to end up in 8th position. Rachel Clammer there as well, ahead of Brown. So there's plenty of talent and plenty of experience in this pack. It's about who has a little bit left in this final run of the Eliminator for the women, but you are looking at the absolute cream of the crop as they chase Katie Zephyrus in the distance. She's had a very lonely race and a very lonely afternoon in general, Katie Zephyrus, but she'll be very happy with that.
She got a 15-second buffer here. I mean, over 1.1, no, just about 2K, 1.5 laps. I think she's going to be pretty comfortable with that. She's got to be really happy. I think the race is going to be a bit further back. I don't feel like we've talked about Rachel Clammer very much.
Yeah,
but,
agreed.
You know, she's a great runner. She got herself in a great position, sitting in 3rd place there. She's of light frame, so should suit running up this hill. And, you know, a great all-round runner as well. So this kind of difficult, tricky run course should suit her as well. So I think she's looking good for a podium position here.
So who have you got? You got Spivey and Clammer 2 and 3.
I think with
a K and a half or so to go.
I think probably someone might catch Spivey, but Clammer's looking good there.
There is Spivey and Clammer side by side.
Yeah, I think Clammer's going to. I'm going to go for her. I think Clammer's going to get second here, and Joanna Brown. Because I was calling Kirsten Casper, but she looked a little tired coming out of transition. I think the climbs have started to catch up with her. Summer Cook's too far back, and I just think Taylor probably did a little bit too much work staying away on that bike.
You jumped ship so quickly.
Yeah, we saw that last time.
As soon as you saw Clammer going to second position, you're like, I like Clammer for second position. Congratulations. Great insight there from Chris McCormack. But there she is in second position.
Oh, look at that.
Macca's favourite athlete.
And Taylor Spivey.
Taylor Spivey, Joanna Brown and Jodie Stimson, who at times has looked a little bit shaken up, I guess. We would say, like she's put in a lot of effort, but here she keeps coming. She's such an intense trainer. She puts so much into her work. Jodie Stimson, the 2014 Commonwealth Games gold medalist, and it's starting to pay off at the back end of this one, and she sits in 5th position off the back of another Commonwealth Games medalist in Jo Brown, Charlotte McShane and Kirsten Casper, very different athletes.
This bit is key to the race. Actually, if someone's a really good downhill runner, you could make up 5 seconds on the person from you, easy. So going back to that 2nd, 3rd, 4th place battle between Clammer, Spivey, and whoever's catching them up, Joanna Brown, Jodie Simpson, if any of those are a really good downhill runner, that could make it from, and we're going to see that coming into the shot now. I think so. See, there's a gap there. I think that's Clammer and then Spivey behind her. So you can see Jo Brown running hard.
She's committed.
Yeah, she's committed. You can see Jodie, the cadence compared to Clammer's cadence isn't that much, so she's not really committing to run downhill that really fast. And I think Kirsten Casper, because her stride is so short, so efficient, and it works so well, it's probably not the best way to run downhill as fast as you possibly can. This is unique in triathlon, though. We don't really see a really good bit of downhill on the course, so you know, it's not something that they might be expecting or train for particularly.
All right, Katie Zephyrus, last time through transition. You are looking at, bar incident or injury, your Eliminator champion and Rachel Clammer, who's really putting the hard yards in to drop the rest of the field.
She's clear
and claim second position, and she has done exactly that. Spivey is now looking to hold off Joanna Brown, and in the distance there, Jodie Stimson, and that looks to be your top 5. I'm not sure in what order. There's to be a great race uphill between Taylor Spivey and Joanna Brown. There is Charlotte McShane in 6th position, Kirsten Casper in 7th, and Summer Cook yet to come around the corner. But there is Katie Zephyrus just on a training run out the front.
Klammer's run really
Yeah,
well
she
here.
really
actually.
has.
We haven't seen this in other rounds, so yeah, it looks like she's been sensible, you know, saving her energy, and she's used it. We've hardly seen her at the front of the bike or anything, have we? So I think she's raced a really sensible 3 rounds here, and she's put the effort in when she needs to. This is going to be a great last 400 metres up this hill, though. I wouldn't want to be in a sprint finish up here.
Rachel Klammer, it's good to see her do well. She's had not a great finish to her season by her own admission, and has had trouble with bike handling after having a crash mid-season, and she was disappointed with how she did in Jersey. I think she finished 7th overall, and it's going to be a strong finish from her, but she's got a pack chasing her. I think she might have some clear air, but right now, coming up the hill, she's been dominant from start to finish. Katie Zafiris, she won in Jersey 2017. She won in Jersey 2018. That was 3 weeks ago. She won stage 1 of the Eliminator. She won stage 2 of the Eliminator. She picked up $2,000 for her efforts, and now she's going to pick up 25 championship points. It is Katie Zafiris, your Eliminator champion, and she has absolutely dominated the field. In second position, she has a look around. It is going to be Rachel Klammer, courtesy of a fantastic run, and you can tell how happy she is with that. Rachel Klammer comes in second, and Joanna Brown has tracked down Taylor Spivey for 3rd. She's been there or thereabouts, Joanna Brown. Taylor Spivey comes in 4th position. Jodie Stimson's been 5th all the way throughout this 3rd stage. And in 6th position, Charlotte McShane. Kirsten Cass will pick up 7th, and Summer Cook will pick up 8th, courtesy of a tough transition early on. But that was some fantastic racing, and no one had any chance of picking up Katie Zafiris.
No way. I mean, she was clear on her own literally from the gun there, wasn't she? She swam straight off the front, and that was that great run there from Joanna Brown to move up into 3rd place. Taylor Spivey held on to 4th. I thought Jodie might catch her on that finish. Yeah. I thought that was a Jodie Stimson finish, just to muscle her way up there, but obviously she just had nothing left.
I thought that at the bottom. I saw Jodie come around with Taylor Spivey. I was wondering if she was going to be committed and have a big run up to grab those championship points. But I think the fatigue started to accumulate, right? You started to see a lot more in the face after that first climb on that last stage. They're a lot more tired. It'll be very, very interesting in the men's race to see what happens there. But that was a magnificent event.
And that is what the Eliminator is all about, making sure... It's for a tactical athlete. It's not necessarily for the fastest athlete. It's not necessarily for the strongest athlete, although the fastest and strongest athlete won on the day, and by far. And it's going to be a different story in the men's race. But you need to be able to think your way through this race and measure your efforts and remain tactical at all times. And then count. Count while you're running. So that's always something a little bit different. But Katie Zafiris jumped off pontoon slot 18 3 times, led out of the swim 2 of those times. She looked so comfortable. She got caught a little bit by Spivey in the swim towards the end, but once she got onto the hill that first time on the bike, there was no catching her. She's been fantastic in Super League format. She's just so suited to this one. Summer Cook had a tough transition, first of all, onto the bike and found herself on the back. You could see her there holding on. Eventually, she would get dropped.
That just took a toll on her, you know. The first 2 or 3 laps, she could lose 5-10 metres around that corner, get back on, but by the time you've done that a few times, that effort really paid its price. And because she was just about getting on, the other girls were having that whole straight, whatever that is, a minute of rest potentially. Summer Cook was having seconds and then having to go back up the hill and do it all again, and that just takes a toll eventually.
Yeah. A great run from Rachel Klammer and a great win from Katie Zafiris. And let's have a look now at the results as they stand after that one. 16-18 is the mark. Keep that in mind when you see the men and see where she was, because that was a great race from her. Klammer 13 seconds back, Brown 19, Spivey 24, Stimson 27, McShane, Casper and Cook, your top 8. Huge to even get through into the 3rd stage. Great athletes, one and all. Let's throw down now to Annie Emerson, who is, I think, with our race winner.
Katie, you look like you used that first round as a warm-up and then you just ran away with it.
Yeah, I always tend to do better as it goes, but this time I didn't want to take the risk. There's so many really competitive athletes in the field that I knew my first one had to be good. One of my goals was just to have really good positioning, and so to do that, I feel like the front's the best. So I just kind of went with it, tried to build into the rounds.
Were you surprised to find yourself out in front like that?
A little bit. I felt really good in the swim, which set me up for the bike really well. So that was that was a really good start to each round, and I was really happy with it. And I just decided to try and balance going really hard. I wanted to win the round, and also knowing there's a whole nother day tomorrow.
From the spectator's point of view, that climb looks really tough, but I have to say you made it look easy.
It was not easy. The last time we did it, I was like, oh, thank goodness we're only doing that one more time. I think it affected me more on the run than the bike. With the bike, it's short enough that you can kind of be like, get yourself through it, but on the run, it feels much longer.
Katie, a massive congratulations. Good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Positioning is certainly key, and she found herself in the swim in open water. She said when she picked 18 on Thursday in the slot draw that she wanted to have open water rather than a quicker run to the buoy. It turns out she got both in terms of where the buoy position was, and that really set up her race from the beginning to the end, as she said.
Yeah, it really did. Start positions can be crucial in racing, in all triathlon racing, and especially when that first buoy's so close. And she used it to her full advantage, especially on this last leg where you can see now she got that clear space that set her up for the rest of the race. It meant she could again control her effort. You know, she really pushed on that first bit of the bike because she just had a bit more than the other girls, and that was basically where she won the race. This swim, and then the first maybe 2 or 3 minute effort on the bike, and she was away. Anyone
out there who's done a triathlon knows it's so easy to get chopped up and have a bit of a swallow of some water and get slowed down and get pulled down if you're in a pack like that. I mean, in the professional ranks, I mean, the same thing happens to an extent. I mean, you can stay a little bit more composed if you've got some open water like that. Yeah, a lot more composed, because you're probably actually swimming a bit easier, but you know you're controlling how fast you're going, rather than these girls in here where you know you do one stroke, someone pulls your arm back, you do another stroke, someone pulls your leg a bit, and lots of minor things that are often unintentional. Sometimes they are intentional, but often unintentional. But it's tying you out and slowing you down, and that meant that she didn't have to deal with any of these problems, could just swim exactly how she wanted to. And that's exactly what happened. She led from beginning to end, and Rachel Clemmer ran herself brilliantly into second position and picked up 21 round points, and she's with Annie right now.
Rachel, I think you're perhaps okay with me saying you had a bit of a dark horse for a podium place finish coming into this race. Silver medal, though, absolutely outstanding performance.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't expect it myself. I think no one did. Started off the season really well, and after that I just had a really shit season. So I struggle a lot, to be honest, mentally too. It's not a secret that I did struggle with that. So even before the race, I told my coach and my parents, I wish I could be happy with 8th place, which I've been doing the last I don't know how many races. So coming with the 2nd place today, I'm really happy. I was 2nd in almost every round, or 3rd, whatever. So I'm super stoked I managed to get on this tough course. And I've always said I race well on hard courses and in the heat, and I'm happy to show that today.
Well, I have to say, you look incredibly fresh. You like Katie, you're making it look easy, but this is a brutal course, right?
I actually love hard and tough courses like this. It's hard, but for some weird reason, I just run better off a hard course. Maybe because everyone else is smashed. And I mean, of course, I'm also tired, but it's just so nice to come off the bike then and start running.
Brilliant. Good luck for tomorrow, Rachel.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Anyone who excels in tough conditions is going to excel in Super League Triathlon, because this course is brutal, and, well, wait for next week. Mallorca is a tough course as well. So great run in the end from Rachel Clemmer, a brave run down that hill, and a great one from Joanna Brown as well. And we're going to see the podium in just a second. But the cream really rose to the top. Taylor Spivey as well coming in and getting her first taste this year, finished in 4th position. And she played a good tactical race, as did Rachel Clemmer, playing to their own strengths and just trying to... I guess you're right. They let Katie Zafiris get away, and then they fight for the minor placings, and that's what it was in the end. It was a fight.
Oh, without question. And I think the interesting takeaway from what Rachel said there, it's about how difficult the course is. She races well on it, but it's recovering between today's race and tomorrow's equaliser, which will be very, very difficult with the swim TT. So a great race. I think the girls have to go away and look at what they're going to do between now and Mallorca to close that gap to Katie, because she's really dominated. It was only in Jersey that we saw Cassandra Bongrad challenge her in any way, shape or form. So very, very interesting.
Well, she was challenged in the first day in Jersey, but she came back with a dominant performance in the Enduro, which I guess plays as a stronger athlete to her strengths, a little bit older, a little bit stronger, and that was a 9-leg race. And we're going to see a similar format tomorrow in some respects in terms of a 6-leg race. But it is time now for the podium, for the Eliminator, for the women, and each of these 3 athletes have beaten a world-class field. Let's throw down now to our podium for the first time here at Super League Triathlon Malta, the Women's Eliminator.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official medal ceremony for Super League Malta Day 1 Eliminator. Representing presenting the medals, Mr. Alfie Borg, CEO of Nike Malta. The champagne by Mr. Ray Gretsch, Director of Marketing, Nike. Our bronze medalist for today, from Canada, Joanna Brown.
Get out the way.
Our silver medalist, representing Netherlands, Rachel Klemmer. Our gold medalist, Eliminator winner, representing the United States of America, Katie Zaferis.
The champagne spray, Rachel Klemmer gets the first shot in with the champagne, but each of these three women have enjoyed it, and they deserve every moment of celebration they can get as Joanna Brown finally gets the champagne uncorked.
Similar to a race there, slow to start, and once she got going it was good.
Got going in the end and managed to come in third place as she does again, and the medals handed out, the podium done, the champagne and the smiles, and that's exactly what we want to see. The men get underway in about half an hour, so go away, get a cup of tea, relax, come back and watch the men fight this one out. And if it was anything like what it was like in Jersey, it could be a race between the Frenchman Vincent Louis and the South African Henry Schoeman. Obviously starts with a swim. We know swim positioning is incredibly important. Those two guys are so good in the swim, and they're our championship leaders 1 and 2. Do you guys think that that is the way it's going to be? Or do you think someone else could come into the mix?
I think the thing we can say for certain is Vincent Louis and Henry Schumann are going to be up there. I think the other thing we can say is it's going to be probably closer than the women's race, and it's harder to call. And we saw from the women's, it was crucial to get through the rounds. But remember, Joanna Brown actually nearly got eliminated in that first round, didn't she? So things can happen, and like we say a lot about this about Super League, but it's dealing with things when they don't quite go right. And they say that happens a lot, and Vincent Louis was brilliant at that in Jersey.
Okay, the women's eliminator is done and dusted. They have to go and rest up, ice up, and get ready for Super League Triathlon Malta tomorrow. But the men's is coming up in just about half an hour's time. We will see you then. We've enjoyed bringing the women's eliminator to you. We hope you've enjoyed Super League Triathlon. We'll see you soon. The sun is shining, the stage is set, and Malta has turned out in droves for Super League Triathlon. The women's Eliminator race is done and dusted. Katie Zafiris was huge in that. We'll see that in just a second. And here she is winning right now. What a fantastic effort it was. Katie Zafiris was huge in that event. She led from start to finish, and she deserved it coming across the line, and she will be incredibly hard to beat come tomorrow. Look at that happy face. Well done to Katie Zafiris, but now it is all about the men's effort. It's going to be a huge race in this one. Vincent Louis is our championship leader. Henry Schumann, incredible swimmer, will be ahead of a field alongside Johnny Brownlee. We have to mention him because I'm standing alongside Alistair Brownlee, his brother, reigning Olympic gold medalist, and Chris McCormack, two-time Ironman world champion. How good was the women's race? I mean, I say that, but how good was it for Katie Zafiris, who was almost lonely out there? I felt like she could have stopped and got a hug from someone because she had so much time. She really threw down the gauntlet.
She was almost flawless, wasn't she, across all 3 races, to be honest. She just controlled it, did what she needed to do, and then she just had a different gear to go into on that 3rd race and put everyone away.
The composure was incredible from Katie Zafiris. We almost feel like we need to pull her out of this competition because she's too good at the moment.
She hasn't lost a round at Super League Racing. She won the 2 Jersey events. She's now won here in Malta in the opening race. But I think the takeaway for me was Rachel Klammer and Joanna Brown. We saw her nearly get eliminated in stage 1 and finish 3rd overall.
Well, let's talk now about the men's Eliminator, which is coming up in just a few minutes, and it's going to be a very different race. But having seen already how this course attacks people and how people attack this course, how do you think this one is going to play out? Because there's some big names involved.
Well, I think the men's race is probably going to be a bit closer, and that means it's going to be really aggressive. So I actually probably expect to see it still quietly, tightly packed maybe on the first one, but that racing, that aggressive racing, going hard up the hill a number of times is going to take its toll on some of those guys that we might expect to kind of get relegated in the 1st and 2nd round.
Yeah, we're going to have a look now at some of the guys that are warming up. As I say, there's only a few minutes until the start of the men's Eliminator. 5 men eliminated at the end of stage 1, 5 eliminated at the end of stage 2, and the top 7 go through to stage 3. Macca, how do you think this one's going to play out? Vincent Louis, Henry Schumann, Johnny Brownlee, Richard Murray, so many good names.
Well, it's such a technical bike course. I think we saw that in the women's race. I'm looking for the bike riders to really excel in stage 2 and stage 3. To pick a winner is almost impossible. I think Vincent Louis was so strong in Jersey, but Henry Schumann is focused on this event and could win this thing.
All right, there is the graphics. Schumann, Blumenfeld not here, but most of the big men certainly are. And we're going to have a look right now at how the Eliminator plays out. There's plenty to this one tactically, plenty physically as well, especially on this brutal Malta course. The Eliminator, the most ruthless triathlon format ever devised. A 3-stage tactical nightmare rewarding fierce racing and strategic brilliance. Pace your efforts, conserve energy, and avoid elimination. No room for positioning error, no room for weaknesses, no room for anything. Stage 1, a mass start, swim, bike, run. Easy. A win here, though, won't help you. But finish in the last 5, that's your day over. A 10-minute break, and they go again. Mass start, swim, bike, run. The best progress. The last 5 join their fallen rivals on the sidelines. Reset. It's time to go into battle for the last time. How much have you got left? Someone will cross the line a winner. The Eliminator. It's time.
Well, guys, with just a few minutes to go before the start, you can really feel the tension here and excitement. Vincent Louis, who was a winner in Jerseys alongside me. What's the pressure like coming into this as the winner of the previous race?
Yeah, I'm kind of the guy to beat, but I think Henry and Rich are really wants to take a revenge on me. So yeah, let's just see what's going to happen, but it will be a tough race for sure.
Brilliant. Good luck, good luck. Revenge. Johnny Brownlee, you've seen the women race. What are your thoughts on the course?
It looked tough, really tough. But it's a good course. I think it's going to suit the best all-round athletes. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, there's absolutely no room for error. So what are your tactics in this race, Johnny?
Like I said, there's no room for error. And I think you're best racing aggressively. So race from the front.
There you go. Well, you heard it from Johnny Brownlee. You've got to race from the front and you've got to race hard. So time for the start of the race now, Will.
In what perfect conditions we have. It's actually got a little bit warmer since the women's race here in Malta. Unseasonably warm weather for this stage of the year, of course, late October, but it is warm out there and this course is tough. Chris McCormack is the man who came up with it. And I tell you what, Mackie, you've really got a pearler here in Malta. There is a tough climb. There's a tough descent. There's a couple of tight corners, although by all accounts, if you get it right, they're not too bad.
And as you said, it is warm, but if you speak to a Maltese, they're saying it's quite cold. It's 40, it's 40 degrees here in the summer. We've got, I think it's perfect racing conditions. It's definitely a bit of heat on, and the course itself, very, very difficult. Speaking to some of the women after their race, they really struggled on those latter stages up that climb, especially on the run. Katie Safaris in particular said the run's very difficult.
All right, we're about to get this underway. The athletes chose each other's spots on the pontoon, and it has proved to be the spot to be will be at 17 or 18, so at the far end. Henry Schoeman, who is definitely the best swimmer in this field, he's wearing the blue jersey to prove it, is on the closest side in slot position number 1. So we'll see whether he can cross the field and get to that turn buoy first. And we know how important swim positioning is. Ali Brownlee also joins us in commentary, and it's hard to pick this one. The cream rises to the top. We talk about Louis, we talk about Schoeman, and you know, there Vince Louis, though, talked about Richard Murray. So how important is it to get to this turn buoy first? Because you know Murray won't do that, but you know how good his bike leg is. Yeah, well, I think for those top 4 or 5 guys, if we're talking about Schoeman, Louis, Vincent Louis, Johnny, those top, and Murray as well. I think for those, you know, this is all about getting this first round as easy as possible. And so, yeah, okay, they've got a bit of room to play with if they mess up that first buoy, mess up the swim. But is that going to cost them in that last leg? And so I think they'll be as nervous as ever, wanting to get to that first buoy first. And if you're some of these other guys that we're seeing now, you know, the Schofields maybe, it's live or die. You know, if they're outside the top 10 of that first buoy and you know they've got room to make up, they're probably going to be out in this first round. So it's literally important for everyone. Vince Louis tops the standings. He won in Jersey, 25 points. Henry Schoeman, 21. Christian Blumenfeld isn't here, and that gives an opportunity for guys like Richard Murray, Johnny Brownlee, and Hayden Wild, who the 19-year-old had a fantastic effort in Jersey to up their standings in the race for the $100,000 grand final prize in Singapore. There's a swim, 2 left-hand turns, slot 18 probably the best. The swim and the run are on the same course, and up the Trick St. Lorenz there after the first turn. That is a steep hill, about 275 metres at about 6%. Then at the top of the turn down to the bottom turn before they get back into transition, that is very, very steep. Takes about 10 seconds top to bottom. So bike handling skills, bravery, and good work under the brakes will give you the advantage there. 3 stages. This is how it works. 1 lap in the swim, 4 laps on the bike, 2 laps on the run, and then the last 5 home in that mini triathlon are eliminated. A 10-minute break from the time the winner crosses the line into stage 2. The same thing again 5 eliminated, and another 10-minute break, and then the top 7 will head into stage 3, where it is all out. Forget the tactics, forget finishing on the bubble and conserving energy. It's all out racing in stage 3 for the maximum amount of round points, and a shot tomorrow at a $20,000 prize. And of course, all those championship points heading in to the $100,000 on offer in Singapore in February in round 4. A good crowd in. It's been building across the day as the locals here in Malta are getting a taste of Super League Triathlon action, and this is going to be a treat. Such class across this field. Plenty through the middle of the pack too. We keep mentioning the same names, but there is plenty through the middle of the pack that can do some damage. And that fight on the bubble, first of all in sort of 12th, 13th, 14th position, and then again in 7th, 8th and 9th is going to be intense, and we'll cover every moment of it here in Malta. Round 2 of Super League Triathlon. We head to Mallorca next weekend, but right now it's all about the men's Eliminator. We're about to get underway. What do you think about in these moments? What did you guys both think about on the pontoon in these seconds? I think you got to be focused but a bit relaxed at the same time. So I'd be thinking about listening for the horn, and then what are the few little things I'm going to go through. Once I hear the horn, you know, diving, good streamline position, 2 kicks under the water, strokes, that kind of thing. I mean, Schoeman is the absolute boss of this in triathlon at the moment. Yeah. He's just brilliant at getting off the pontoon, like straight away. You know, he seems to get. He hasn't done it. That's one of his worst starts. But normally, you put the mockers on him. I did. But normally he's half a body length clear of the field when he hits his stroke, and then you know he's fast anyway. So
he's going.
He's got Leo Berger.
He's fighting right now with Leo Berger.
Yeah, that's Polyansky there, who's taking it out fast. So he is a pretty quick swimmer as well. And then there's these guys in the middle here who are really having in the absolute the bun fight in the middle of it all. Vincent Louis hasn't had a great start here. He's back fighting with Johnny back there in the back of the field, almost the last two actually.
Igor Polyansky leads it though, and Henry Skurman's managing to get on his feet, so that's a good spot for the B. Jonas Schomburg, who is a great swimmer as well. I think that's him in third position, and then, as you say, if you look further back for the pink jersey, Vince Louis is in the washing machine in the middle, and he has to be looking at limiting the damage coming into transition the first time, because this is a very, very, very fast swim. They've already run the turn buoy halfway to the second.
He's moving up there fast on the outside. He's a good enough swimmer. He's moving around Leo Berger, there's three of them in the line there with Johnny, Leo Berger and Vincent Louis. Berger is absolutely killing both of them here actually. If he just pulled back and was actually, I'm just going to sit on Johnny's feet, it would be so much easier for them all. He would get to the front, he wouldn't have to try half as hard, it'd be so much easier. Vince Louis actually pulled out left there to get round, because he knows if he pulls up close, he'll be on his hip and slow him down, and that's why he swam round into clear water and he's okay now.
Okay, just a reminder that we lose the bottom 5 at the first stage of the Eliminator swim, bike, run, a 10-minute break, and then we lose the bottom 5 in stage 2 when they hit the swim, bike, run again, and then the top 7 through to stage 3. So it's a tactical race for these guys. Make sure you're in the front pack, you're not in danger, and then conserve energy and don't try and burn all your matches before stage 2 and 3. Yeah. But if you're on the bubble, you need to try a little bit harder. We saw that in the women's race with Claire Michelle, had to really try, really bust that run to stay in, and then that hurt her in the following stage, because 10 minutes when you've got to walk 3 minutes down the hill is not enough. As they get to the second turn buoy and turn for home, and Igor Polyansky leads from Henry Skurman, and I think this is one of the first time that Skurman won't lead out of the water, but Polyansky, the Russian, a renowned swimmer, and he's certainly showing that today. Vince Louis moved up into third position, so a nice bit of clear water for him.
And it's the men in the white jerseys, the youngest, who seem to be taking up the back of the field. So they're the boys that are really concerned about being eliminated. I had the opportunity to talk to young Ollie Turner from Jersey. He was very, very nervous about this. He said he's been swimming well, but he just never experienced pace like this in a swim race before in the triathlon.
That's one of the things, I think, moving up into top level triathlon, actually, whatever World Series, it's just, I think the pace is on. It's fast out the swim, it's fast out onto the bike, and it doesn't really let up, and you hear that quite a lot. These three guys have got a bit of a gap. Vincent Louis swam really well in the middle part of that swim there to move up into third place, and has now got some nice clear water, and the guys behind him, I think it was one of the Canadians was fighting with Schomburg, I think, and Berger's moved up to there. So, I mean, this is close, like we were talking about before, that this is going to be close racing for the first few rounds for the men here.
Polyansky, Henry Skurman, Vincent Louis are your top 3 as it stands, and Polyansky's had a good transition, and he'll lead them out. Tyler Mislachuk was next out of the water, the Canadian from Leo Berger, Jonas Schomburg, Jonathan Brownlee in 7th, Ben Canute and Matt Sharp, the Canadian, in 9th. But there's plenty going on here as the guys who are at the end, and Ollie Turner.
Schilling just went to the wrong transition spot there,
he did.
so he's cost himself 5 seconds by going to the wrong transition spot.
And Wild's a long way back. In Jersey, he was right up close to the front. He's had a really average swim. He got caught out early, and he's very, very good on the bike. He said that he climbs very well. He's going to have to be aggressive up this first climb and close the gaps.
I think Felix is in trouble here.
Yeah,
there's a bit of a gap up to him, and he's going to have to ride well. I can see, attacking into the cut. Murray's not bad. He's just behind Johnny there. I think they're probably about 7th and 8th position. But this is Polyansky taking on. I think he'll want to ride quite hard. He knows technically he's not superb, so I think he'll be a bit nervous about that downhill as well. So he'll want to hold his position, hold himself in the top 3 or 4 into that corner at the top, and that means he's got a bit of space to play with. That's Tyler Michalchuk, who was the Canadian that made it there. So he's in a good position, and his compatriot Matt Sharp is just a few places back. But there's really not a lot in this, and you see Murray just looking great there. He's in a good position. He's on the wheel. He knows he doesn't need to go round. He's just happy with where he is.
Our championship leaders are leading this 1 and 2. Henry Skurman leading from Vince Louis. There is Schilling, who made that mistake, and he's found himself rocketing down. But this is the first time down the drop, and it is a real drop. And for the guys with good bike handling skills, they can make time in this corner. And Vince Louis probably has the superior bike handling skills of almost anyone. Polyansky's dropped back to 4th position.
Berger is a good bike handler as well, looking comfortable around the corner. You saw Murray, always the good racer. He's jumped up 2 or 3 slots there, you know, just making it that little bit easier for himself. João Pereira there, I think he will probably struggle a bit on this kind of format and this course of racing as well.
Yeah, Pereira currently in 12th, and that means he is right on the bubble ahead of Luke Schofield, Hayden Wild, who is at 6th place right now in the championship. Ollie Turner, Jaden Schofield, the second half of the twin brothers, and Jack Felix. Jaden Schofield, quite an inspirational story to even get here. Was stung by a stingray on the foot 10 days ago. When he arrived here in Malta, it was swollen to twice its normal size. Spent 6 hours in hospital between about 9 a.m. and 3 a.m. on Wednesday night.
Something happened to Johnny on that last corner, actually. I don't know whether he crashed, but he lost about 5 or 6 places.
Yeah.
And is now at the back of the field.
He's back with Wild, I thought.
Yeah. So something happened. These guys are controlling it at the front. You know, Schumann looking calm and collected, just making sure they don't have to do too much work in the back end of the race. You know, really similar to what we saw Zafira's do in the women's earlier on.
The one thing about Richard Murray, you'll never see him move up to the front. He's tactically very, very good. He moved up, as you said. He's sitting back. He knows he's in no danger. These guys right here can just control everything they're doing. They're strong enough on the run to make sure they put themselves in that top 12.
Yeah, Mitchell just pushing it along. Maybe he's a bit nervous about what might happen on the run. Johnny's running himself straight back up, which is good, and he'll be happy with his position. And so is Hayden Wild there. You know, like you said, great bike rider. He's done what he needs to do, and the guys behind, they're struggling now. That gap's going out, and the thing is with those guys, they're going as hard as they can to make it on. And you know, I think that costs a lot. Like we saw a lot in the women's race. So even though the gap's going up, but they're actually trying a lot harder than a lot of the other guys. It'd be good if we got a shot to see what was going on when he actually went around that corner, but unfortunately the camera moves away, so
well, the boys said they didn't want the motorbike on the descent.
Yeah.
And,
a little bit too fast, a little bit too dangerous for the bike on the descent. It's only 10 seconds top to bottom. They're going at speeds. I don't know how quick they're going, probably 60 to 70 kilometres an hour at one point. And the bike can get in the road. Hayden Wild has really got his head down, and he knows he's in a little bit of trouble. Tyler Mislachuk leads, though. Louis, Skuman, Bergeret, Murray, Canute, Polyansky's dropped back to 7th from Schomburg, Brownlee and Schilling. But they're all in a group with about 5 seconds between them. So
with Tyler Mislachuk on the front, you know it's not going to be really pumping hard. So it's eased up, and that's why they've all bunched back together. Matt Sharp's at the back end of that group, isn't he?
But I count 13 there in the front.
There is 13. Yeah. There's 13, Sharp the 13th, so one of them is going to drop out.
He's very close to the motorbike, getting a bit of an advantage. It's part of racing, and he's at the front. So
and that's a headwind too.
yeah, absolutely. So this whole group, it's 12, isn't it?
Yes.
There's 12 and there's 13 in this group. So Matt Sharp is at the end, and if it stays as it is, we're losing Ollie Turner, Luke Schofield and Jack Felix and Jaden Schofield. So one of this group of 13, if it stays the way it is going to get dropped off the back, and that'll be the end of their stage 1. So we've got a clear group of 13. 13 does not go into 12. The white jerseys are together, but they're about 9 seconds at last time through transition anyway, behind that main pack.
Yeah, and the main pack spread over 7 seconds. So, yeah, it doesn't look massively far down, but it's probably enough. You know, if one of them had a flying run, you might catch a couple, depending on if these guys have gone too hard, but yeah, it's not in the position you'd want to be. Yeah, see, that's a great shot of them going around the corner. You can see so much tighter, you know, than we saw before in the women's race, and that spread between the front to the back isn't as much. But that guy, whoever, that's Matt Sharp, last man there, you see how much harder he had to work out that corner, really sprinting. He's actually still losing ground on the guys in front of him.
He's really he's struggling up that climb. He seems to try and move up along the flat section here through Thunder Alley, they call it, and drifts back again on the climb. But you can see by his face, he's not happy.
Yeah, we'll see if he can hold on during the next climb when it's coming up. They're about to hit that turn and head up Malta Mountain, and it is a mountain. Yeah, last time, and then we're going to see 1.5 laps on the run before we get to the uphill finish, which is another excellent feature of this amazing course here in Malta. A group of 13 at the moment sticking together in a train. Last time up the hill, and we'll see if this splits them up. And at the front, it is Vincent Louis, your championship leader. Johnny Brownlee's back up into 3rd position. Ben Canute to the right of screen. Richard Murray in the green as well. And then the 3 young athletes, that's why they're wearing white. They're all classified as young athletes under 21 years of age. Ollie Turner, Luke and Jaden Schofield. You cannot tell them apart, I tell you what, when you see them up close, and you can't tell them apart when they're all wearing the same thing and cycling next to each other, making it difficult for us. So we'll just call them the Schofields.
The swollen foot made a big difference.
Yeah, it did for a while, but the swelling's gone down, and now I have no idea. But here we go down the hill for the last time.
So
Murray now in 4th position. Schuman's dropped back to about 8th position.
And Polyansky all the way, drifted back again, as you said, struggling on those technical turns.
They're already undoing the shoes because they know that this corner's tough, and they've only got a really short, probably less than 10-second section here to undo the shoes and jump off. So they've undone the shoes at the top of the hill or on the descent somewhere. At this point, they'll be trying to get their feet on top of the shoes and jumping off, just to make it as clinical and clean as you can and not mess anything up. You know, these front 4 or 5 guys, they're just trying to make it, just minimise the chances of things going wrong.
Yeah, and they can go wrong, as Johnny has a little bit of an interesting dismount off the bike. Didn't lose too much time there, but he's been forced to rush a little bit, no doubt, and just maybe just spikes the heart rate, a little bit of lack of composure for a second. And we can see how hard that is. Mislachuk and Murray are out first. He's so
shoes
good.
On. Every time, shoes on. You know, there's a few guys there that have lost 4 or 5 seconds. And I don't know what he's doing, or whether he just uses really stretchy laces to get his feet in quick, which you can afford to over this distance. You know, you can have really loose-fitting shoes actually, but every time, and he never seems to mess one up either.
Hayden Wild's made up for that poor swim. He was very comfortable at about 6th or 7th position.
And this here, Felix, who's last man, we haven't talked about him at all yet, I don't think.
Yeah, well, we're probably not going to see too much of him. And, you know, Richard Murray means business when he doesn't even take time to put his Red Bull visor on. He hardly ever is seen without it, and yet he knows just how much every second counts as he leads them through the turn. Mislachuk and Canute in 2nd and 3rd. Vincent Louis, Henry Schumann in 5th, Jonathan Brownlee, Leo Bergeret.
One of these
so
guys
this is the elimination, yeah.
Yep.
So that's Matt Sharp, Pierre and Polyansky. So out of those 3, 2 are going to get through and 1 is going to be eliminated. So that's where the good race is for this part. These guys have just got to control it, and it looks like they're actually running pretty hard there.
I've got a clock on them to get the first 400-metre split for us so I can get us just how fast they're going. And it's...
Well, let's concentrate, though, if we can, on that group of 3 behind. We can see the gap's probably long enough now to Andreas Schilling, who's managed to tack onto the back of this pack as Vince Louis takes another line, doesn't want to get stuck behind. Hayden Wild's found himself in there with Leo Bergeret in the kind of the second half of this group. And at the front, though, it's the green jersey of Richard Murray. All of the fastest split time members in the 4 different colours are all up there in the top 5 or 6. Henry Schumann, the last of all, in the blue swim jersey. But at the moment, it's Richard Murray, and here is the group that we need to concentrate on. João Pereira, Igor Polyansky, Matthew Sharp. The 3 tallest athletes in the field, all 3 of them together trying to get up this hill for the last time. They're going to go down once through transition and then again, up the hill for the finish. And all 3 of them will know, having seen them on that turnaround, that they are on the bubble. 1 goes home, 2 go through to have another crack in stage 2. Who's your money on, gentlemen?
Pereira runs really well most of the time, but he doesn't look like he's in great shape to me, and he doesn't run downhill very well either. You know, if Matt Sharp here, I'd say, is the weakest runner out of these 3, if he can really run downhill, but none of them are, they're all leaning back, you know, relatively slow turnover, so no one's really attacked that downhill. They could have made the difference just there, and that's the difference between getting through and not. I know that didn't answer the question, but I think...
You're getting good at commentary when you can say a lot without saying anything.
Politics next,
I'm looking for... I hope they stay together until the final climb. I'd like to see a sprint. I really want to see who's as committed. I think Sharp, since the beginning, he was at the back of the bike. He hasn't looked comfortable since the swim.
You're
so
right.
he struggled on the bike. He was last out of transition of the group, and he just seems to be in a bit of problems.
All right, to update you on those men, you can see there, all of them will be safe at this point and go through to stage 2. The only thing on offer for them in terms of getting up this hill and crossing the finishing line first is $1,000 US. But more important in their minds, as Vince Louis, he knows this. He's dropped to the back. He doesn't need to run hard.
Well, there we go. Pereira's meant to move there.
There you go.
So he's probably safe, although it's probably 600 metres here, with most of it being uphill, so there's quite a long left. And I've got no idea what of the uphill sprinting capabilities of Polyansky. And
you haven't read into that?
I haven't,
no. Okay, fair enough.
Sorry, I'll do more homework next time.
Vince Louis has a little look behind him, sees that there's plenty of room, and he's counted exactly how many people are in this group. So the top guys, bar the bottom 5, will all go through, and that big group there is João Pereira's behind them. You can see the gap back to him. He knows on the flat is the point for him to try and get a gap. Maybe he's not confident of managing to make it to the top of the hill. He has a look around.
Sharp seems to just be sitting off Polyansky. I think he knows he's probably done the numbers. He just has to beat Polyansky to get through, and he's gone around him.
He has. Let's see. One more time up Malta Mountain, 275 metres, 6% the gradient. Let's see who out of these 2
extremely tall triathletes can stride out better. João Pereira looks to me like he's going to get home. All these guys are going to get home. One of these two are probably going to get $1,000.
Johnny want the grand? Johnny want the 1,000?
I don't know. I don't.
They're talking to each other. They're having a discussion. Hayden Wild has had a stack. You can see by the look on his... he's got some blood on his knees.
Yeah.
But it looks like Johnny's going to give Hayden $1,000.
That's
he is indeed.
That's about 100,000 Kiwi dollars.
Yeah, exactly. The exchange rate, but there you go. Maybe they're going to split it 50-50. All these guys are safe. They all come home. Let's have a look at the sprint if we can. Let's get these gentlemen out of the road. Pereira comes home, and it's going to be Sharp in the end, who's going to do the job over Polyansky, who led out of the water and instead finishes one spot out, and that hurts.
See how much faster those guys went up. They basically took 10 seconds out the front guys up that hill. I mean, I know they were running slow, but that shows you the difference between the kind of speeds.
It's going to be, you're going to pay for that in the second stage.
So 15:22. So as opposed to stage 3 in the women's, they were about 17:06 it was. So the guys have got around this course, swim, bike and run, in 15:22 for Hayden Wild. And it's unfortunate for Igor Polyansky there, talking to Leonid Boguslavsky, who's one of the co-founders of Super League Triathlon, a fellow Russian. He was so close in the end, and so much respect between these athletes. Ollie Turner from Jersey qualified from his efforts there. A hug from either Jaden or Luke Schofield. I've got no idea at all.
Hand to the feet. Hand to the swollen foot.
Both of them are going home. Jaden and Luke, Jack Felix, Ollie Turner and Igor Polyansky eliminated. The bottom 5 out. The rest now, and you can see the clock ticking there, 8 minutes and 45 seconds until we get underway again. And this is when the Eliminator really comes into its own. The ability to back up, the ability to go down, and it's quite a way to the bottom of the hill to get ready once again, get your heart rate down, get composed. But let's have a look back at stage 3 and how it worked out. Igor Polyansky, we know how it worked out for him, but it looked good at this point. Henry Schumann sat on his heels. Vince Louis did a little bit of extra work to end up coming out of the water in 3rd. He would have seen the travails of the women's and how important it was positionally. A bit of an accident or a mistake there for Andreas Schilling, and a bit of back and forth there. Jack Felix just looking around for his bike and ended up having to go back too, and that was pretty much the end of his run. Schumann led for a while, Louis led for a while. Tyler Mislichuk was there or thereabouts, so that'll be a confidence boost for Tyler. He had a win in an Italian World Cup race last week, so his confidence is sky high, and he attacked this course with everything he had. This group really put the hammer down at one point when there was 13, came into the run. Richard Murray took the early control after having a good swim by his standards. He was in the top 10 on the cusp, and all of these men knew they were safe by the time they got onto the second lap of the run. Hayden Wild had a discussion with Johnny Brownlee and told him that he'd entered the money more than Johnny did, and he got the $1,000 for his trouble. So that was nice. You wouldn't have done that. Johnny did that.
Johnny's never given me $1,000, so...
Well, there you go. Ben Canute coming in 3rd position, and they're already down, setting up the bikes once again. We're going to head down now to Annie Emerson, who's going to give us a bit of an insight into what's going on down there.
Johnny, you had us a little bit nervous there because you seemed a little far back when you came around the first time on the bike. What happened? Did anything happen at all?
Well, I didn't have the best of swims, really. The inside line was way, way longer, and I got in a bit of fight. And then Matt Sharp, the Canadian guy, crashed in the first corner. I got caught behind him. He, for some reason, couldn't go around corners. And I couldn't get my pedal back in. And then I thought I was in big trouble. I was a bit nervous myself. And then I caught up actually quicker than I thought I was going to catch up. And then I was all right again.
You look good. How did you enjoy that first leg?
It was a bit more a bit nervous than I'd like to be. I'd made a few mistakes. I think after that first corner, after he wrecked it for me, I was on the back foot then.
Great stuff. Well, good luck for the next round. Okay, we'll have a little look along the bikes. They're all setting up. Elastic bands going on here. We'll just have a quick chat with Andreas Schilling. Andreas, what are you doing there with your bike and the elastic bands?
I'm just putting the shoes up so I can jump straight in with the feet after the swim again.
How do you enjoy those hills?
Oh, it's nice. It's a really tough course, but it's really good, yeah.
Great stuff. We'll let you crack on for the next round. We'll have a little wander down here. We've got Richard Murray. Richard Murray, a little far back on the swim, but not a bad one, and you certainly did pretty well on the bike in the run there.
Yeah, no, definitely. The swim was quite congested out there, so did everything I could to get out with everybody. Everyone was quite close together and got there pretty easily on the bike, which was good.
You're renowned for being really strong on the bike, so you've got to be loving this course.
Yeah, I do love it. Yeah, the hard stuff is going to come in the next few rounds for sure.
And a bit of pressure because Rachel Klammer, your girlfriend, fiance, got second overall, so the pressure's on, right?
Yeah, usually when one of us does well, the other one doesn't have a great race. So hopefully, we'll see how it goes. Eh?
Okay, got our fingers crossed for you.
Cheers.
Well done, Richard. Okay, well, I think there we have it. We just wander along the athletes, of course, preparing. They've only got 10 minutes. We'll just have a quick chat with Matt Sharp. Matt, that looked like hard work. You were sort of running slightly scared at the end.
Yeah, it's kind of a battle out there in many ways, and I was battling to make it through the next round. So, yeah, it was hard action, but we got another one coming up.
Good luck. Have a good one. Back to you, Will.
Annie not brave enough to ask him if he has a problem turning corners, but fair enough. He's the biggest athlete out there. A bit of smiles from Ben Canute, who found himself there or thereabouts. A very strong athlete, Ben Canute, coming down from 70.3 racing, where he does so well. We finished behind you in the 70.3 Worlds, Ali, but I didn't need to point out it was Ali. It wasn't going to be Macca, but he finished in third position. So the ability to conserve a little bit, and it shows when you see the guys like Matt Sharp talking to him then, he was still breathing.
Yeah.
And Richard Murray was composed, and that can amplify across the course of the Eliminator.
Well, it answered the question that you said, Ali, about what happened to Johnny. So he's obviously got caught by Hans Sharp, and it makes it very, very difficult when you have to work when everyone else is not.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Let's have a look again at the Eliminator. Stage 1 is done and dusted. 5 athletes have been eliminated already, and the 10-minute break is just about over. We're going to head into Stage 2. 1 lap on the bike, 4 laps. 1 lap on the swim, 4 laps on the bike, and 2 laps on the run. And we're going to lose 5 more athletes, and they're going to be 5 quality athletes as well if it plays out anything like it did in Stage 1. And then we're only going to have 7 left, and I have no idea who that's going to be. I could probably pick a couple that'll definitely be there, but it could really be anyone else after that. And then they'll race for all the chocolates, uphill run finish for 25 points for the round and halfway to a $20,000 prize. João Pereira, I wonder how much he's got left in the tank after what he had to do there to drop Igor Polyansky and Matt Sharp.
Well, if you go back to the women's race, it was Joanna Brown nearly got eliminated in race 1, in Stage 1, and she ended up getting third on the podium. But I think Pereira was all in on Stage 1 to qualify, so if I was a betting man, I'd be putting him in my 5 to go.
Sharp as well, because they were having to ride hard, so they've had a hard 15 minutes pretty much there.
Yeah.
You know, there's been no let up for them.
I tell you what, Andreas Schilling did well considering he made that mistake, and we've seen people drop right off the back after making an error to end up finishing 4th in what was a fast run at the end.
Yeah, he's a good bike rider, so I think he rode himself in, got himself in a good position, and then I think, to be honest, from the last lap of the bike, and then there was maybe a small part of the run that was quick, but it was easy. You know, the front guys knew they were safe, it was eased up, and they just had to get to the finish.
Schumann's a bit further across now than he was in Stage 1. On the better side,
he gets the chance to choose, I guess, because courtesy of finishing, where did he finish in the end?
5th.
Sixth in the end, so he gets to pick, and I think he's in about slot position 14. Ben Canute there, number 75 in 16. Tyler Mislachuk next to Henry Schoeman, which is a good place to be, if I'm honest. Being a small guy, being able to tuck in behind such a good swimmer, Henry Schoeman. I mean, he's been so far in front in races before. He's had to turn around and just make sure he was going the right direction. Happened in Montreal, happened in Beijing once as well. Does a little bit of backstroke, just sees where he's at. Certainly, and his brother was an Olympic swimmer in Beijing in 2008, so plenty of pedigree there. Andreas Schilling to his right, Hayden Wild to the extreme right next to Ben Canute as well. But every time I look at that shot of Malta, I'm just blown away by how fantastic, how much history this place has got. It's, I suppose, when you were choosing places, Macca, for Super League to visit, this was a no-brainer.
Oh, when I came here, I was blown away about how beautiful it was. Since we've been sitting here with Ali, he's got the Wikipedia out. He's been informing us all about the history of it.
All right, we're going to throw down right now. Sorry to interrupt, Macca. Down to Annie, who has found something. What have you found, Annie?
Henry, that's a warm-up done. What are your tactics now?
Yeah, just got to be in the top 7. I think that's the main goal now.
You didn't lead out on the first round, but I figure that might change now.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the race, so let's see what happens.
Okay. Great stuff.
All right, he's very focused. Thanks, Annie. Just to be able to get a chat with these guys in the time just before they take off. As you can see them there at the bottom of your screen. Beautiful boats here in Burgoo Harbour. It's a beautiful marina, and there's that one there on the left there, the grey one, that's Ali's boat. And that little dinghy that's hanging off the back of it, that's my boat. So if I'm nice to him, maybe I'll get a berth tonight. But lot of history, and a lot of excellent people here have been so supportive of Super League and Malta. I'll let you continue on, but how good is it to be here in Malta?
Yeah, if you've never been, it's absolutely a stunning country. The town of Valletta is remarkable if you're a foodie like I am, and it's some of the best food I've ever eaten. But you just sort of, it's one of those places you walk around, you have your mouth open the whole time, you're just blown away with the history and just the architecture. It's remarkable.
Yeah, I think because you have your mouth open the whole time, that's why your diet's not going as well as it could be. But that's okay. We're going to get into stage 2 right now. Back into the racing action as Jonas Schomburg, who has proven to be an excellent swimmer. Here he's in fine condition. He's
Louis in the middle of the field, right in the centre.
Here we go. We're getting underway for stage 2 of the men's Eliminator. This is where it starts to get really tight. There is the boy about in the middle of the field, and just through that kink on the pontoon, it's closer if you're at the far end.
So that's Pereira in trouble already. He dived straight in, put his head up, and is already at the back of the field. And so, yeah, he's not in a great position. We see on the far side there, Ben Knut's going out well, and in the middle that's Michel Schuck, who's actually leading with Schumann right in the middle of all that, kind of right in the fight of it all. And yeah, I think it's Michel Schuck is going to be first in this first boy. I don't think many people would have predicted that. I do think we'll probably see Henry. Look, he is actually fighting to get to that first place. You know, he kind of let Polyansky lead in the first round, but this time he wants to be up there. He wants to push it. He wants to spread this field out and make it tough for the guys behind him.
All right, Tyler Mislachuk and Henry Schumann are side by side. Behind them, Ben Knut, and then Vince Louis in the pink, closest to you in 4th position. And then behind them, a whole bunch. You can see Jonas Schomburg. He's the big long arms and the classic triathlete stroke closest to screen. And a beautiful shot there, just showing exactly how well Henry Schumann can do it when he puts his mind to it.
Yeah, and Sharp and Pereira are the two at the back of the field. If you look at this, Sharp on the far right of the screen at
Pereira's
the back,
dead
Pereira's dead last. So that shows just how tough that first stage was for them, and they're not setting themselves up for a good second one.
And that is exactly what the Eliminator is about. That stage on stage and conserving and being tactical and not having to bust yourself at any point, because really 10 minutes is not enough to come back from that, and we're seeing that from João Pereira, who's already 10 metres or more behind Henry Schumann, who's doing it easy at the front.
Murray's in a good position though for him, you know, something not necessarily strength. He's in that line there next to Schomburg that we're on him now. That's Hayden Wild to Murray's right, our left, and Johnny on the outside. This is the real kind of bun fight though back here. That's Schilling, Sharp, and then Pereira, who are the last 3. It's still quite well. There's a bit of a gap there from the front 4, and then you can see they're actually swimming quite smooth. They're in a good position, and that gap's going back to the guys behind them, who are all actually probably having to put quite a lot more effort in and not swimming anywhere near as fast.
Henry's very, very good around the boys. He just slides around them so well. He sort of goes in together and then comes out a body length in front.
Yeah. So the guy, you see these guys trying to swim on. So if we look at the first 1, 2, 3, 4, Ben Knut there in 5th and Johnny's there in 6th. They know the danger that they're in. They're looking up. They know there's a group of guys moving away in front of them, and they're desperately doing all they can just to get back in contact. Now it's actually about swimming. It's not about fighting. The field's kind of spread out a little bit, and it's coming. Ben's managed to swim himself back onto that feet there in 5th place, and he's okay. Schumann's going to exit the water first, as he said, and I'd expect to see him go pretty hard now, be aggressive in his first lap of the bike. Yeah, Knut there in 5th.
Schomburg.
Oh no, that was Schomburg in 6th. And Johnny there.
There's Johnny.
After, I think, and Berger. Murray's actually lost a lot of time in that back couple of 100 metres. When it spread out and it actually came down to them swimming, he lost quite a few places. He's just coming into transition now.
All right, as they come into transition, Henry Schumann and Vincent Louis, the 2 that lead our championship, are also leading this one. Tyler Mislachuk, who's having a great day out, is in 3rd. Ben Knut, Jonas Schomburg, and last of all, there's João Pereira coming out, and 5 of these men are going to be eliminated. Johnny powering out, Leo Bergeret behind him. There's Hayden Wild still working on his sunglasses and some problems, and a very poor transition to jump on the bike for João Pereira.
Very bad transition.
There was a lot of, if you look at, I don't know, for example, how Johnny lost it. He hadn't even put his feet in his shoes, so I thought he lost time trying to put his feet in the shoes on that first, but he did that afterwards, and Murray was probably 5 seconds behind him and is now on his wheel, because that shows how important transitions can be. As we said, Henry is taking this out pretty aggressively, and Ben Knut, who was in 4th position, just got himself there at the end of the swim. he was in 5th and has made it on now from a great bit of riding.
He was talking.
He was yelling at them.
What was he yelling at?
He's probably saying, "Let's go." There's a group of 5 away. It makes for a much easier run. If he has a weakness, it is his run. So it just ensures that he gets through to stage 3 if they can get a break and stay away.
Another group there with Murray in it. Hayden Wild looking to get on the back. Matt Sharp, Andreas Schilling. These guys are starting to be in trouble here, and we're going to have a little bit of time before we see João Pereira. But at the front, it's our 2 championship leaders in a group of 4. Johnny Brownlee, another group.
Shoes. He faffs around a bit, need to get on with it. But he'll know as well that Ben Canute's run is a bit slower as well, so he's got a good chance of making some time up there if he wanted. Going hot into that corner, those 3 guys behind. I'm not sure his front, but that's Murray second in that group and Johnny in 3rd. They went hot down that hill, which is why that gap has actually come right back down again.
I think is that Leo Bergeret with Johnny's group, which he'd be very, very happy if he's with Leo. He's a technically nice.
He's a good bike rider. He's coming around now.
Underrated athlete, Leo Bergeret.
Is,
He was sick before Jersey, and he still finished in the Super Sixes on Sunday, which is finished in 6th position, and he was unwell at the start of this week as well, but he seems to have got himself right. And
he's a solid all-rounder.
Solid
all-rounder. He's not a remarkable swimmer. He's a good cyclist and not a remarkable runner, but he's just good across all 3, and this kind of racing is good for him.
Yeah,
so that's 7 guys there, and that's Schomburg still, isn't it?
Wild.
So yeah, this is
Sharp.
This is where the racing's happening.
Schilling. Yeah.
What happened to Michelschuk?
I think he's in this front group. Yes.
He's made it.
Ben's being very, very aggressive. He wants to stay away. He wants to keep this group away. He's probably counted. There's only 7 going through, and I count 8 if you bring that last group in.
He has to.
So
he has to because he knows his running isn't his strength, and he knows that if he can keep these guys away, he can get himself into the final. If some of those other guys come into it who can run, just 5-10 seconds out of him, then he's going to go out. That's the 7.
That's the 7.
There's your 7 as it stands.
He needs to stay on it.
Yeah. These guys are riding well, those 3 are riding well together, so they might not even be that bothered about catching the guys in front. They're just controlling it okay. And we've got Hayden Wild, who really needs to make these next couple of laps of the bike count for him. He's a great bike rider, and he has to make it hard to count.
Ben's racing this like it's the final. He really is. He knows
kind
this
of is his final in some ways. He knows he's had a good race if he makes it.
That's Hayden Wild, who's in a difficult position.
Just making the turn now, Hayden Wild. Jonas Schomburg as well is finding the going tough. Matt Sharp, Andreas Schilling and João Pereira are your bottom 5 as it stands. And Hayden Wild's the man who needs to tack himself onto the back of the group and the back of Brownlee and who's next to behind him? Schilling, maybe his wheel. Who's that? No, sorry, Bergeret. So Bergeret is on the bubble, and there is Hayden Wild. So there is the gap as it stands. We've also got 1.5 laps on the run after this one, and this is the 3rd of 4 bike laps. So there's plenty of time to do it, but Hayden Wild really needs to dig deep.
Slowed up at the front there. You saw them spread out across the road, which is a telltale sign and slowing up. So
I think Ben will go to the front again because he knows Wild's a lot quicker runner than he is, and you've got Andreas Schilling, who's a duathlon world champion, bike runner, so a solid runner himself. And if I was Ben, I wouldn't be taking any chances now.
Johnny moves himself up to the front. He will have had a count and know exactly how many people are in this group, and know that potentially, depending on what happens behind him, there could be a little bit of danger. And he got caught up in the first stage and by Matt Sharp. He wants to stay away from Matt Sharp. That's the first thing he wants to do on the bike, at least. And
it's just easier if you're in the top 3 or 4 as well. That you haven't got that spreading out effect around the corner, and you can you don't have to do a massive sprint every time you go around that bottom hairpin. They have lost time to the guys behind, and they've slowed up, and with Michelschuk on the front again. I think it's going to be close. I think that's Matt Sharp is almost certainly out the picture now. I think he's got a lot to do.
Hayden Wild's
he's riding himself back in and Schilling. I mean, they're not far. There's a couple of guys, who a lot of these guys in the front are top runners. I'd say probably the bottom 2, the worst few. You're probably looking at Ben Canute. Who else? Michelschuk and Bergeret, to be fair, but I mean, they're all pretty good runners.
Yeah, they're
not
tardy.
a lot in it. Yeah.
Well, it looks like Wild's going to just about get himself on the back of this. He's got great bike handling skills, and it looks like he's on.
And Schilling's not far off either, so he's putting in a really good ride just to make it.
So suddenly, the anxiety just goes straight up if you're in that front group now, because 2 are gone.
The question is, how much does Hayden Wild have left for the run? He's pushed himself very hard. We know he's an under-19 Xterra world champion. He knows how to handle a bike, and he knows how to climb a hill, and he certainly showed that in this one. But how much does he have left in the tank now that he's managed to bridge the gap onto the back of Richard Murray and Leo Bergeret? Now we have a group of 8. Andreas Schilling, if he can find somewhere in the bike, he might be able to tack himself on the back and make it 9, and then 2 men Two men from who are on your screen right now will not be going on to play for everything. Tyler Mislachuk's had a great race.
Yeah, he's just been in the right position the whole time, and it's made it really easy for himself. You know, if he hadn't had such a good swim start and he hadn't held that position, he'd be struggling now. You know, he'd probably be in those bottom few and fighting. And you know, the Hayden Wild kind of not sure what he was doing there. He was
gesturing to the crowd, the eliminated athletes there, the Schofields and stuff. He needs to start thinking more about the race.
Exactly, it's not done yet. Yeah, focus on the task in hand, I think.
Whatever gets you through the day, I suppose, it might help him out. And here we go down the hill for the final time, and then into transition, and it's 1.5 laps on the run, and it's all to play for. Schilling's doing his best to tack onto the back of Wild as well.
Schilling looks a lot different to these guys running. They look like aggressive, they're attacking it. He's ridden his own race here. He hasn't smashed it out the corners, he's just ridden his tempo. He's gone, how well can I ride over the next, whatever it is, 6 minutes of riding? And he's gone out and done it, and he's arrived at the end of the bike just a couple of seconds behind them, whereas if he went really hard into the red and never recovered, it'd actually be in a lot worse position.
When you consider what transition's doing to people, there's odds on that someone's going to have a small mistake, and there you go, and it's going to be Johnny. That's the second time that's happened to him. Must be slippery down there on the carpet. I'm not sure. And that could change things for Andreas Schilling and for Hayden Wild as well. Let's see who manages the transition.
Again, absolutely clinically well.
Canute, Schoeman, Bergeret, Johnny, Vince Louis.
His transitions aren't great. Had a problem. Yeah, he made a couple of mistakes in Jersey, but he's just good enough to make up for it. I think that's the difference here. I think, that's not what Hayden Wild and Schilling needed. They needed the best transitions of their lives there if they wanted to have a chance of staying in touch.
All right, probably day over for Matt Sharp and João Pereira. Jonas Schomburg there as well. He's too far behind to make a difference, but at the moment we have a group of 8 if you want to include Andreas Schilling, who is 10 seconds back. You can see that there. Hayden Wild 6 seconds back off the leader, so hasn't quite got it right. But here is
Johnny on
the inside, just came in early, and he's
he just didn't know where the mountain line was. Really silly error, actually. He didn't.
It must be nice to sit here and pass judgment on your own brother. That must be good. I would enjoy that.
It's not well. I'd maybe feel a little bit guilty, but
not only for a second, not enough to stop you from doing it again 2 minutes later.
Absolutely not.
We'll bring him and commentate when you're racing.
All right, here we go. There's the numbers.
So
Richard Murray
danger.
leads. Tyler Mislachuk behind. Johnny's there as well, Vince Louis, Henry Schoeman, and there's your top 5 with Ben Canute just behind. Hayden Wild doing his best to bridge that gap. First time up the hill, they take the left turn at the top of Malta Mountain, and they'll make the turn at the top of the course, and
Vince
Louis wants out.
He did the same on the one before, actually. He doesn't like running in the middle of the group. And I don't know if that's something normal or because he's going uphill, but he doesn't like being in the middle of the group. I do wonder as well whether he's a bit bigger in frame, and obviously ran great in Jersey over that distance there. He almost looks like he could be a really good mile runner. Whether this hill will make it a bit different for him, I don't know, but we're probably going to find out in the next race.
Well, I don't think Hayden Wild's going to do the job.
Ben Canute needs to stay right in this group. It gets dragged along, and because Wild looks under a lot of pressure, he doesn't look as comfortable. He won stage 1. And Ben can get sucked along on this run and qualify for the final stage.
Yep, 7 in that pack right now, and it features pretty much all the big names. Brownlee, Murray, Mislachuk, Louis, Bergeret, Canute and Schoeman. And flying down the hill, needing to catch up to them is Hayden Wild. This is the only time down the hill they'll stop with a uphill run finish. And I'm impressed with Tyler Mislachuk and what he's managed to do so far in this Eliminator. He's played a smart game. Johnny's found himself... he's gotten over that little mistake. He's made 2 errors coming off the bike on the mountain line today so far, but he's managed to recover from both. Such is his quality, the Olympic silver medalist.
I'm impressed with Ben Canute, to be quite honest with you. I didn't expect him. I know
he's fighting, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is fighting, and I was expecting a lot more from Hayden Wild when he got on. I thought he'd draw a lot of confidence from that. We saw him in Jersey run so well. We saw him win stage 1 today, and Ben's treating this like the final, and that's what you need to do when you're in an eliminated position.
So they're having to push a little bit harder this time. None of them want to be in the danger of being in a sprint, so they're definitely pushing a bit harder than they did in round 1. But we saw, where Mislachuk and Johnny actually went quite hard down the hill. Schumann decided just to ease back and save his legs a bit, which I think is probably a smart move. That kind of really eccentric force going through your legs is the way to give yourself massive muscle DOMs running downhill if you want to, both for the race after, but especially tomorrow.
They can't ease up. I don't think Wild's over. I think he just looked at his face. I think he's going to have one last run at him. We saw him in Jersey sprint Mola. I don't know.
I don't agree.
4 seconds.
4 seconds.
I think it's too far.
You've got a 300.
Too far.
You've got a 400 metres from here to the top of the climb.
Who's going to drop out? Canute?
Well,
no one else.
You got to look
at anyone else.
It's Ben Canute who's
He's
worried
looking
about
around.
him.
He is
He's the
turning
one.
around.
Yeah.
But I can't agree. There's no way he's going to. Well,
it's a climb.
You're
It's a
you.
climb,
I'm me. Let's have a look though. There's our top 7 last time up the hill.
He has to have a crack now.
He has to have a
we
big
have
crack.
to see a big movement now, otherwise it's not going to happen for him.
It is. Here's our 7 that are going to go on at this point. Anyway, Tyler Mislechuk looks like the man. Is Johnny Brownlee going to finish second again and forego another $1,000? Surely not.
These guys are running hard here.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
running hard. And Ben Canute is giving it
He's
everything
everything.
he's got. But he's in now.
Yeah,
he's not going to catch it now. Wild hasn't made that big move out that corner that he would have needed to.
He would
have needed a really
I think
good...
he spent all his bickies on the bike just getting onto the back of that pack. And Tyler Mislechuk, he needs $1,000 and he is off. Tyler Mislechuk, and he's going to get it, and good on him. He has played a great game here in stage 2 of the Eliminator. Johnny takes second once again. Schoeman and Murray, the 2 South Africans. Vince Louis does an extremely French thing and just walks over the line with his French buddy.
Why is that French?
Well, I don't need to run.
It was easy.
I don't need to run. It was easy. Exactly.
It was easy.
Hayden Wild knows that his day is done and he's given it everything as well. And he has been such a great addition to the Super League lineup. Andreas Schilling as well comes up. The high fives as well. The crowd's really built here across the course of the day as the word has spread of Super League Triathlon. But Andreas Schilling's day is done as well. And he had a valiant race after a little mistake in transition in stage 1 and could only manage an effort just on the cusp of the top 10.
Jonas Schomburg.
Jonas Schomburg finishes as well, too far out. And Matt Sharp, who is going to have words with Johnny tonight. He finishes
He's
out,
Canadian.
out of it as
He'll
well.
be too nice.
They
don't like confrontation, do they?
He's incredibly nice. But he's done extremely well as well to get into stage 2. No mean feat. Best athletes in the world, and the pace is on, and you can see that all over Matthew Sharp's face. Absolutely. Hayden Wild there as well. And João Pereira, who he's happy. He's happy to do the job. He did so well to make it in and drop the other 2, Polyansky and Matt Sharp. But already the race is on, and this is where the race really starts for some of these guys.
Well, now it's the business end. This is the race that matters. Nothing else that's happened before this counts. It's whoever wins this race wins the day. So, yeah, you know the course, you know all the turns, you know where you're struggling, and you try and fix those. And now the anxiety, especially for people like me, where you can't swim. So if you're a weaker swimmer, you start to get a little bit anxious about the less people in the water getting exposed and getting caught out.
There are your eliminated athletes, and they have given it absolutely everything through to stage 2, and they'll be looking forward to watching this one. And all of our fastest split time members, the fastest run from Jersey, Johnny Brownlee, the fastest swim from Jersey, Henry Schoeman, the fastest bike. Excuse me, who was fastest bike? Who's in the green? I've forgotten already. Richard Murray.
Richard Murray, yes.
Richard Murray, and the pink of Vincent Louis as our championship leader. And this is how it played out. Henry Schoeman didn't have the feet of Igor Polyansky to swim off, so he ended up leading it out after a little bit of a fight early on, but it happened as he wanted it to, and he let out a transition with Vincent Louis right behind, and those 2 will be battling it out across the course of Super League Triathlon all the way to the grand final in Singapore in February. Ben Canute really put in the hard yards on the bike, and it worked out for him. They created a group of 7. Hayden Wild couldn't bridge the gap, and then he managed to run it in. So let's just see how spent Ben Canute is when it comes to stage 3. Hayden Wild managed to cross the bridge on the bike for a while. It was a mistake from Johnny Brownlee once again in transition, but he recovered to a second place. Richard Murray always looks so comfortable on the run. We saw that in the Eliminator, which he won in Hamilton Island 18 months ago. It was one on the run, but this time it was one on the run for Tyler Mislechuk, who's got that winning feeling after taking a win in a World Cup race, Grand Prix race, in Italy last week. João Pereira, he doesn't care. He was eliminated. Doesn't matter. He's enjoying it, as are the fans here in Malta, having a great time. João Pereira. And we're going to head down now to Annie Emerson at race finish.
Ben, you've made it very safely through to the last round. How are you feeling?
Oh, I mean, about as good as you can feel after 2 hard rounds. So these guys up front have some really good legs, but you never know what could happen on the 3rd round.
The swim is crucial, right?
Yeah, no, it's important for positioning, and it's broken up the group a few times. So that plus the hill makes it pretty important.
And with fewer athletes now, tactics are surely going to change.
Yeah, I mean, with less athletes, there are bigger gaps and more of them, so you can't make any mistakes. You just have to really stay on it.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Well, you just wander on down. We're just going to head down here. The winner. Well done, you took yourself $1,000. That's a nice payday, isn't it?
Yeah, I figured for the extra 2 seconds it was worth it. I regret it later, so we'll have a crack now, and I'm sure it'll be different. It'll be full on right from the beginning, and that'll be fun. Legs will hurt, you'll see a lot of pain, that's for sure.
Good luck, Tyler. Well, we just wander on down. You've got Richard Murray there, who had a really nice round. Might find it a little bit tougher with fewer swimmers' feet to get on. Vincent Louis here. Vincent, you look like you've kind of taken it at a quite leisurely pace up until now. Are you just waiting for the last leg?
Yeah, that's only like end of the warm-up, you know, that's only the third race will count. I do not feel really great, but I don't eye myself. I'm taking the race, trying to push in the bike, and don't just be a follower. I try to be a racer, and yeah, we'll just see what's going to happen in the third leg.
Okay. You need to get some fuel on. Good luck for the last one. Johnny Brownlee. Johnny, you made it safely through, but we've had our hearts in our mouths because there's been another mishap, hasn't there?
Oh yeah, let's keep making stupid mistakes. I think the fitness is there, but maybe the execution isn't. So if I get that right, yeah, hopefully I have a good shot at winning or being on the podium.
I've got to say, the swim looked tough. I thought number 1 position was a good position, but you got left behind going towards that first buoy.
Yeah, I thought it was as well. I think we got forced a little bit far right, and then I have to swim the long way around the buoy. But hopefully with 7 though, it's a lot better swim.
Okay, good luck for the last one. Thanks.
Great insight there from Annie. Thanks so much, and thanks to all our athletes for taking the time. There's not much time to take, and Tyler Mislachuk, well, he just seems. I wonder what he says. I don't know how much I'm going to have left in the tank, but he got the $1,000, so we'll see what happens then. And he's on that winning run. Ben Canute, Richard Murray's already got his goggles on, so he's not worried. He's ready to go. And Vince Louis, just in that typical Vince Louis way, it doesn't start until the third stage.
Yeah, well, you saw it in Jersey when he said you'd be crazy to leave it to the last 400 metres with me. I think he knows this is the race that counts. I expect a lot more from Henry Schumann. I think he's been very, very tactical, and I think he'll roar out of this blocks in the swim.
All right, just if you're just joining us, we've lost 10 athletes already. The stage 1 was a swim, bike, run. We eliminated 5. We took a 10-minute break. We eliminated another 5 in stage 2, which just finished moments ago, and another 10-minute break, which is ticking far too quickly for the 7 athletes that are left now. It's really the cream of the crop. All the best athletes at Super League are about to take on one more stage. 1 lap swim, 4 laps on the bike, and 2 laps on the run. An uphill finish and maximum points on offer as we head into Sunday's racing. Of course, this is multi-day racing. Super League. Tyler Mislachuk was your winner of stage 2. Doesn't mean anything other than his wallet is now a little bit fatter as there are bonuses on offer. Johnny Brownlee came second once again, but all of these guys are just looking at each other and just seeing exactly how it's going to work out. How do you see this one working out in stage 3?
I think it's going to be aggressive, obviously. I think less people on the swim, as Annie alluded to, might make it harder for the weaker swimmers. I was thinking then, so where they get to start is dependent on where they finished in the last one. So I think that's why some people like Johnny probably wanted a good finishing position, because that means he could start on that outside and have clear water, which is why he's right on the left-hand side of the screen there. But there is almost an argument to be made here that you could be really unaggressive on this swim. You know, actually, there's only 7 of you. As long as you're in front, probably not 7th, so you might be behind someone like Richard Murray and the gap goes. As long as you're in 5th or 6th and you swim really unaggressively, you're probably not going to be that far off and save yourself a lot of energy. Maybe a slightly risky tactic, and I don't think any of them are going to take it, but it could actually work out. I don't think anyone's going to do that. I think everyone's going to be fighting and scrapping to be near the front. I think Schumann's going to take it out. I think you're going to end up with Vincent Louis on his feet, and then I think it's going to be full on up that first hill. And there isn't, like in all the other races we've seen, there's been an ease up of the group probably on lap 2 or 3 of the bike while that first shuffle happens and everyone knows what's going on. I don't think we're going to see that this time.
No, it's going to be a lot more aggressive on the bike, but I think the swim's going to play out exactly as you said. As we tick down towards stage 3, we're going to head back down to Annie, who's got a few more insights. Annie.
Leo, you've kind of snuck in here to the last round. You've raced very well, but a little bit behind the scenes there. The guys are going to be watching you in this round.
Yeah, I was trying to keep a little bit of energy, but not so much because the level was high and I had to push a lot to be in the top 7. So I'm happy to be in the in the final, and the race is starting now. With the energy I have left, it will be hard.
Fewer athletes are going to be a bit tougher, isn't it?
Yeah. We know the big names, and that will be tough.
Good luck.
Thanks.
An underrated athlete likes to race sort of not behind the scenes, but just sort of out of sight, and he's done exactly that. He snuck into the 7. He doesn't snuck into the 7. He's busted himself like they all have, but he is a dark horse always, Leo Bergeret, one of 2 Frenchmen in our 7, 2 South Africans, a Brit, a Canadian, and an American here in Malta, which has just been absolutely beautiful and turned down a beautiful day. The cloud covers come over a little bit, so the sting's gone out of the sun, and there's going to be some quick race. You can see the headwind, though, as you head up that hill, that hasn't abated at all.
And it's supposed to get heavier for tomorrow's racing, so it made it very, very tough. I was talking to the girls before their race up that climb. They said it was very, very difficult.
All right, we're counting down now to the top 7. They're racing for all the chocolates. $20,000 on the line for the round win. Here we go. Stage 3 of the men's Eliminator. The very best of the best of Super League, and a good start from Schoeman, who is to the right of your screen, alongside Johnny Brownlee, who said it was a lot longer for him when he was on the low pontoon positions, if you like, closest to screen where Vince Louis is. So at the moment it's Schoeman who leads out, Brownlee to his left, Canute I think is to his right.
Yeah, there's the 3 on the outside there, which is Schoeman in the blue, Michelchuk and Johnny, and then as we come across there is Murray there, who's just fighting his way through. He just needs to be on someone's hips or feet. Canute there, Berger and Louis on the outside, who just has got enough in the tank to get himself out of any trouble on the swim. He's got a great 100 metres at any point, I think, to use. You know, do I need to move up around this person? Right, I'm gonna use it now, and he uses it when he needs it.
And at the moment, it's Mizlachuk who's made it his mission to be at the pointy end of each of these stages.
Well,
alongside
he's slowing it
Schoeman.
down here. That's a bad tactic for him. He should just slot in on Henry's feet and sit there, and because he wants Henry to swim as fast as he possibly can, so he gets as much ground on the guys behind him, and this race is as stretched out as possible. He's kind of slowing the race down and keeping guys like Murray potentially in it. You know, if the swim is as fast as possible, he wants the biggest gap back to Murray as he possibly can. Louis is just in the great position there, exactly where he wants to be, and that's Johnny back there in 4th place. So Louis has just fought Michelchuk for the feet there. He says, I want that feet, I want to be in the easiest swimming position possible, and he's trying to pull him wide. He'll go back in again now, so he pulled him out to the left to try and get rid of him off his hip, and then he's gone back in, and Michelchuk's just gone straight back in on his hip. Not particularly clever racing, but I think he's got to do all he can in such a short swim, really, to stay near the front as well.
A short swim and a stacked field, and Henry Schoeman once again leads them out. Johnny Brownlee in 4th position, he's got a little bit of clear water there in the red, and down the back end of the field is who we got there, Leo Bergeret.
Well, that's actually Canute there, just behind those guys. Bergeret and Murray at the back. They're pretty much, you don't have to swim back there. They're just getting pulled along. Michelchuk's just going back through the field and kind of getting in the way here again. And he must have a great first 100 metres and then almost goes so far into the red. I'm not sure what he does after that.
But again, Henry Schoeman off that last buoy. He got
so fast around it.
All right,
and Murray in a bit of danger at the back. He's last in the green jersey.
Yeah, he's dead last there.
But we know his transitions are remarkable. So,
and it's such a short swim. You know, it's only over a few minutes. Were they doing another lap here, and all of a sudden there's clear water there back to Murray? You know, you lose 20 seconds. That'd be a game changer for him. He could be in some serious trouble. But you know, it's lined out now after a couple of minutes swimming. He's only got a minute left, so he's actually safe. You can only lose a handful of seconds, maybe maximum.
All right, it all changes in transition, it seems. Each time they come through, Mizlachuk comes out 3rd, Brownlee 4th. Let's see if he can have no mishaps through transition. Schoeman leads them in, though, from Vince Louis. I think that's happened in each of the stages thus far. A good transition for Henry Schoeman, and he looks around, knows that he's got a little bit of time. Vince Louis, the two of them will have a nice little gap. Mizlachuk and Brownlee. Canute is wasting time. Yeah, Johnny did a good job there.
Murray did have a great transition. But a lot of it, actually, Tristan, is this first bit, you know, get your bike moving and then get your feet in. And, yeah, as you see, Johnny Canute is just going for it. He's just going, and Murray straight in and straight. His feet have gone straight in there. You know, that's how he makes up so much time. So he can just ride now, and he's got no worry. You know, he doesn't have to worry about doing anything with his feet. Whereas some of these guys, I bet Canute still doesn't actually have his feet in his shoes, unless he's done it somewhere on that straight, which is going to make this hill very interesting for him.
Tyler Mislisok jumped straight across. You saw him looking at them as they ran out of transition. He's jumped straight on that back wheel, and there's 3 away.
Yeah, if you don't have your feet in on this
these guys
hill,
are right on that back of the motorbike here as well, which is giving them an advantage up the headwind into the hill. Johnny pulling hard to get across the gap, and Ben Canute has got his feet in his shoes, which is crucial. So
you lose that pull, really, don't you, up the hill? If you can just push and not pull, that's going to hurt you.
Pretty much neutralised now, actually, the race. All 7 of them are together. Just those guys behind might have had to ride a little bit harder to get there.
And that could come into play later on in this one. At the moment, it's Schoeman who looks back and sees all 6 of his rivals behind him. The first time down the hill, Vince Louis just doing some running repairs on his shoe while he's got a moment to do so. A little bit of debris on the tracks blowing on, but it doesn't seem to be bothering anyone. Schoeman from Louis.
Murray's moved up
into
there.
second and to fourth now.
Yeah, you know, he used the point at which the race kind of slowed up just to move up a few places, which is, the right thing to do. Look, Ashley is pretty slow out that corner, so they haven't really had to make a big effort. But
they're all together now.
Yeah,
it's basically looking around.
Yeah.
This is shaping up to be an absolute belter of a race. 7 of the very best, and there's nothing between them through the swim and the first lap of the bike. 3 more laps on the bike, 3 more times up that hill, and then the run up and down, and 1 more up to an uphill finish. And there is so much talent, so much accomplishment in this group.
So he tapped around the outside and
nearly hit a cat. Did you see that?
Yeah, and so he's tried to make a bit of a move on the field.
He's using the tailwind as well.
He's got 10 metres on Schoeman, who's back there. I mean, it's a hard move because he's going round up into this hill into the headwind now, and it's quite a lot easier for the chasers. But you never know. They just look behind. They just look at each other for a couple of seconds. I don't like looking behind. You commit. You commit for the first minute when you do attack. You just absolutely commit. Otherwise, it's not worth doing it. And you should also be swinging across to be near that motorbike.
Yeah,
I'm not being critical.
Yes, you are. You 100% are being critical.
And now Ben Canute's coming across.
Oh, he can't even turn his head without getting the criticism. Jeez.
No, but the good thing is he probably saw that in the first lap. He was just off the front 3. He saw the motorbike advantage, thought he'd jump it and take advantage of that. And he didn't slide across, like you said.
Yeah, the group behind, though, is actually splintered a little bit,
All right, let's have a look at the cat replay. There he is. He's a tabby cat. He's turning from left to right. He doesn't even turn his head. He's taken Ali Brantley's advice and not turned his head, but he is out of there when he sees Johnny. I feel like Johnny accelerated when he saw the cat.
Maybe, yeah.
Just trying to scare him off. Maybe to save the cat's life.
Use his tailwind again, Johnny, and he can... But I think the boys are back on.
It's all back together, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem he's got here is it's so much easier. Once these guys get rolling on the flat after the sprint out this corner, I think, they can just recover a little bit, and they've got that extra little bit of power to get up the hill.
Going in 3 wide, not a place there. It narrows up on the cobblestones.
He hadn't done that. He didn't do that chicane well at all.
But just as we cut to the cat bit, it looked like Schoeman and Vincent were actually just getting distance a little bit off the back at the top of the hill. I mean, that might be a thing that they're actually done on purpose to just ease out the hill for them and give themselves a bit of a breather, or it might be a sign that they're actually struggling. Who knows? If anyone had the legs now to take it on, to attack either, Murray from Murray's position there, this race could potentially blow all over, I think.
All right, he has another look behind him, Johnny Brownlee, and he sees a bit of cat and mouse being played as they head to the right-hand side.
It's been a race of 2 because Ben Canute's been the one doing all the work to chase it down.
He's trying to move out of the road too, and they're all following him.
Yeah.
He's trying to get someone else to have a go at him.
Yeah, they're sitting up now, so potentially... but Schoeman's made a bit of a move there on the outside.
I think Louis in trouble.
I think we would see him there, like you said. He likes racing from the front, and I think we'd see him. I mean, that's not to say he won't pull in a result here. He's racing. Part of the talent of racing, I think, is racing to the conditions on the day. And if he hasn't got great legs, he's thinking, well, if I can energy conserve for most of this race and make it to the last 400 metres, then who knows? But yeah, we're seeing it. It's splintering. Canute's paying for all that work he put in now, and Schoeman's on Johnny, and it's making for really exciting racing.
The problem for these two is Richard Murray right there in 3rd position. He'll chase everything down.
Yeah, but making him chase it down is making him, work. So, it's not always a bad thing. And this course, when you've got hills like that in a corner, it quite often compresses the field a little bit, which is what we saw there. And Murray's just lurking in exactly the right place there, getting on the wheels and doing what he needs to do.
There's plenty of discussion out there and plenty of tactics, and they can't really get away from each other. Ben Canute doing his best to stay in touch. Leo Bergeret doing what he always does and just flying under the radar in 6th position. And if it keeps like this, and this is the 4th of 4 bike laps, we're all going to arrive in transition at the same time. It's just about who did all the work.
Yeah, it's eased up now. It'd be good to see, you know, from the look. So Vincent Louis is right back in the race.
Yeah.
There was a point there, I think if Murray or Schumann had been aggressive, you know, it could have made for an exciting race. But, yeah, it's neutralised again. Vincent's exactly where he wants to be, although I'm not sure he looks that comfortable. But this could have just allowed him back in the race, both physically and the fact that he's had a breather. Ben Canute's having another go.
He knows that he probably hasn't got the legs on the run, Ben Canute. He needs to push and really take some energy out of these guys.
Yeah, this is his chance. This is his chance.
As they reach the top part of the course for the last time on the bike, and then it'll be 1.5 laps on the run to decide who wins the men's eliminator. What a fantastic shot that is of Malta and surrounds. A beautiful country and a beautiful place for a race. Breaking new ground, Super League Triathlon. And Vince Louis was just in the lead from Richard Murray in 3rd position, Tyler Mislachuk, Vince Louis, Leo Bergeret and Ben Canute.
Yeah, this is going to be a fantastic run when we get out on the run. It's going to be really exciting. Transition is going to be so important. You know, we've seen most of these guys mess up a transition. Apart from Richard Murray, he's been clinically brilliant all transitions. So we probably expect to see that again. But who else is going to be out there running? 5 seconds could be absolutely crucial when we go out onto this run.
It will be hugely crucial, and they're all in a bunch. And I guess all of that work being done by guys like Ben Canute, and then again from Richard Murray is a guy that's just sat there and not had to worry about it. Vince Louis, another guy that's just sat there. Leo Bergeret is another guy who sat there. Johnny Brownlee, obviously, how much has he spent?
Well, it's going to be very,
That's
very
a
difficult.
big question.
What's going to be set up here is it's going to be an uphill run finish. You've got everyone together. It's going to be super difficult.
So Louis first in transition there, which is fantastic, and Murray close behind him. And Johnny and Canute and Mislachuk probably at the back. Yeah, there we go. Murray away fast. Did what he needs to do at the best, and Vincent Louis is following quick as well, and that is Johnny and a few others. I think they're just going to take it on here. You know, you've got no option. It's only 2k of running. You've basically got to get up that hill really fast twice, and yeah, it's all about committing, isn't it? This is it. This is the end of the racing for the day, and this is all you've got to do. And these guys have got their heads down and they're running as hard as they can. I think Canute is in the back of the field there in 7th place, and I think we can probably expect. I've got a feeling he's probably going to end up 7th, but
Murray's just gone.
Yeah, Murray's away again. Transition placing, great place going into transition, really quick clinical transition, and a great place coming out. Yeah, he's onto the hill now, and yeah, he's obviously going to push hard up here. He's been in the right place for this whole race, you know, not being too aggressive, so he might just have a bit more left than all the other guys. And Schumann's chasing him hard, and Vincent Louis is third. We've got all the coloured jerseys lined up here.
Yeah, South Africa 1 and 2, and in the Eliminator all the way back in Hamilton Island, this is exactly what happened. Richard Murray mowed them down, and he hasn't spent too much, as you say, in the little cat and mouse games that were played in the bike, and now he is 1 lap away from taking out the Eliminator once again after sort of, I mean, for him.
Big lead, and he's not slowing up. Doing a big long stride, the running down, heading Schumann with a little smile on his face. Vincent Louis going down higher, trying to 73. Little bit ahead, Ben Canute, a little bit behind. Ben is a little bit hurting. I think he just did too much work on the bike. Who's going to be there? Is it going to be a Richard? Or is it going to be a Henry? Or is it going to be a Vincent Louis? Or Tyler? Or who's going to be? We don't know. We can't still see on the screen. Yes, you can, man. Don't worry about it. Right, we're rolling now. Okay, lead over the fans and tell us who is in the lead.
We'll have it in a minute. I've now joined the flip and the flip. I've flipped over.
Yeah, that's good. Just wait. Here he comes, the South African with a big lead now. This will be his race to lose. And Richard Murray has launched away from the field.
right, they're coming over, they're coming over. I've got to jump across, boys and girls. Just let me... Okay, the more people... We're coming to the finishing line. We're going to have you just the finish to the finish. Now, Malta, I need you to rumble this time. You've got... And it's going to take this one out. Day one, here he comes. Murray, you've got Victor Louis in there. Stephen is there. Johnny is fourth place. Here they come. Roll with the numbers. Murray now. 80 metres from me. Here he is. He's not in place yet. Easy, money. Bring it, Marcus. Come on.
Smart race. That was absolutely incredible what you did there on the run.
Yeah, you know, kind of learned from Jersey a little bit there and kind of went from it from the start and but it felt a lot better than I expected actually.
You've done a great job on the swim today because we know that is slightly your Achilles heel, but you put yourself in such a good position.
Yeah, I mean, I knew I was the slowest of the swimmers lining up on the last one and I kind of got a shot in the face by Ben Canoes a little bit, so I got a bit of a Botox lips going on here, but yeah, I'm very happy with it and felt very strong out there today. I knew I had to go for it on the run.
Can I just remind you of something you said back when we were interviewing you early on? Yeah. You said, when your girlfriend does well, you don't do well. When you do well, she does well. But you've both had stunning races today. Second for Rachel, first for you. That must feel fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's one of the first times on an international podium for Rachel and myself. And yeah, very, very happy with it. And to do it in such an amazing place, such a historical place like Malta, you know, I couldn't ask for much more.
Richard, you look pretty fresh, but that had to be tough, didn't it?
Yeah, I've got a pretty good poker face. I should have entered the poker competition that was on here this weekend. But yeah, I felt pretty good, in control, and this time of the season I'm quite happy with the form actually.
Okay, well, a massive congratulations and good luck with your recovery for tomorrow.
Thank you very much, and cheers to Super League and the fans and everybody from Malta for coming out. Thanks, guys.
Annie, keep going. Annie.
Vincent, I'm going to take my hat off to you. I haven't got one on, but I'm going to take it off because I know you felt this a bit tough today. You said you didn't feel at your best, but you pulled something back out of the bag at the end of that run.
Yeah, on the first run I wasn't like, okay, it will be a rough day, like Rich and Henry seems to be like on fire, so I will have to take a bit of strategy here, but yeah, that's what I did. So second is not too bad, and I mean, I have to say that my goal today was to beat Henry because Rich tomorrow will start with like a 50-second disadvantage on Henry. So yeah, tomorrow will be a race against Richard and Henry, but Rich like looks very strong, even more in this loop with the hill and everything. But yeah, no, I think everyone is really in good shape today. So we'll see tomorrow.
Vincent, you know, I've got to say, this isn't something you usually do. This is tough racing, 2 back-to-back races. How are you guys going to recover in time to race tomorrow?
Yeah, I already have an appointment with a physio for tonight, so thanks to him, he will try to make a bit my legs in order to work for tomorrow. But yeah, I like it, you know. I'm used to race on Saturday, Sunday, so yeah, that will be a great race tomorrow with all the tired bodies.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Henry Schumann, what a race. Perhaps not quite the result you wanted today, but you did hang on for a podium finish.
Yeah, always happy with the podium. Like you said, it wasn't the race I wanted. I messed up in that last race with my shoe. I just couldn't get it on at all. So sprinted out of transition and paid for it in the last little bit of the run. But overall, I wasn't actually feeling that great, but hopefully tomorrow I'm going to feel a lot better.
Okay, your fellow countryman, what a run he had.
Yeah, he's doing great now. It's good to see that. He was struggling in Jersey, so it's good to see him back out there and at his best performance.
That hill on the run, that is brutal. What does that feel like to run up for the last time?
It is brutal. It's really tough. Like the first 2 races put a real sting in the legs, so it's you're basically grinding your teeth and just getting up there as best you can.
Okay. Well, congratulations for today, and good luck with your recovery for tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
All right, I've got a quick chance. I've got the man himself, Richard Murray. Rich, mate, you are out there, absolutely launched onto that run, the last run.
Yeah, it reminded me of
Your super medalist for today, from France, Vincent Louis. And our gold medalist and race winner for Super League Malta, Day 1 from Mr. Richard Murray.
Richard! Vincent!
All the top split guys were there, all the colours were there. Vince Louis, he looked like he was gone for a second there, but he managed to come back. Richard Murray, what a tactical race that was.
That was absolutely stunning from Richard Murray. You know, he has a little bit of a problem with his swim, but boy, did he pull something back pretty special on that run.
Yeah, he's lucky that swim was only 300 metres. If it was 2 laps, maybe he would have gone 20 seconds off the back. As it was, he didn't worry about any of those breakaways. He just stayed strong, flew under the radar, and then that run, just like he did in Hamilton Island, the same here. What a day's racing this has been.
It has been absolutely stunning. The toughest I've ever seen. These guys are pulling something pretty special out of the bag, and to come back and do it all again tomorrow, wow, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got to do this all again tomorrow. Let's not forget that we've got to go all again. We've got a swim TT we had yesterday, and that determines the places for the equaliser, which is 6 legs, if you can believe that. And it's going to be an amazing day's racing. Thank you very much, Annie. Thank you very much to Ali and Chris and everybody else. We're going to wrap it up here from Super League Triathlon Malta. Check superleaguetriathlon.com for all the broadcast times tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow from Malta.